Today is the big day, awakening day for every senior student in Nanrong City. High above the skyline, a massive demon rift hangs like a glowing crack in reality. Inside the bus, the energy is through the roof. Most of these kids have been waiting their whole lives to find out what kind of powers they'll walk away with. Jiang Yan suddenly snaps awake, eyes wide and breath catching in his throat. He looks like someone who just barely escaped a total disaster. He scans the faces around the crowded bus, realization finally hitting him. He actually did it. He's back at the very beginning of his story. Looking out at the rift station, Jiang Yan remembers this morning perfectly. It was the day his entire graduating class went to discover their place in the world. It started 12 years ago when these demon rifts appeared without warning. The Nanrong Rift was one of the first, and it brought total chaos with it. Legions of monsters poured out of the portals, slaughtering humans on a massive scale. It was a massacre humanity wasn't even remotely prepared for. People tried to fight back, but the counterattacks were a complete mess. Just entering the demon world was a death sentence for most. To make things worse, modern tech was useless. Magical interference from the rifts completely disabled firearms and even nuclear weapons. Eventually, humanity discovered a new way to fight. Anyone who reached 18 and approached a rift could awaken a specialized class. These classes granted talent skills, giving humans the power to actually kill the monsters. After 5 brutal years of war, society finally started to stabilize. Humanity managed to secure the rift entrances and began pushing back into the demon world. Because of this, the entire world was reorganized around the power of the awakened. Now, every high school graduate is required to visit a demon rift to undergo the ceremony. It's the single moment that determines the rest of your life. Classes are split into 3 types: combat, support, and crafting. While the fighters are treated like celebrities, the others don't get much respect. Crafting classes are looked down on as simple logistics workers. In a world of monsters, nobody wants to be the guy stuck in a workshop. Jiang Yan stares at his hand, remembering how his first life went. He had awakened an F-rank crafting class, the ultimate letdown for a top student. But he also had a secret talent skill called Modify. It allowed him to change a single character in the name of a skill or item to completely rewrite its function. In his past life, revealing that power made him a target, he was immediately snatched up by the elites and forced to serve their interests. He spent his days transforming worthless junk into divine artifacts, making the powerful even stronger while he was kept as their personal tool. They feared what he could do if he grew too strong, so they kept him under constant surveillance. He was completely trapped, with eyes watching his every move. Then came the night a level 96 dragon-type beast emerged from the rift. It was a catastrophe that had never happened before. Jiang Yan had just reached level 70, finally entering the ranks of the elite. He suspects now that someone used that monster just to get rid of him. As he lay dying, he activated Modify one last time. He targeted his Revive skill, changing a few letters to turn it into Rebirth. The skill worked perfectly, sending his soul back through time instead of just healing his body. He was reborn right at the start. Back in the present, the bus pulls up to the station. The teacher calls out for everyone to get ready to head inside. Jiang Yan isn't worried about the people who wanted him dead. This time, the only person he's going to trust is himself. The bus groans to a stop right at the edge of the zone. This is it, the moment his new life truly begins. They've arrived at the Nanrong Demon Rift contaminated zone. Jiang Yan makes a silent vow to never tell anyone about his real ability. He plans to grow strong in the shadows while everyone else ignores him, saving himself, and the city starts with keeping his mouth shut. A small, determined smile touches his lips. He's perfectly fine with being seen as trash for a little while longer. The Hunter Association headquarters is a massive structure built around the Awakening Plaza. At the center, a swirling purple vortex marks the entrance to the rift. As the students step off the bus, the nerves start setting in. Everyone is terrified of ending up with a crafting class and a dead-end future. All eyes are on Jiang Yan as he walks past. As the top student in his year, the expectations for him are sky-high. Yang Hongwei, the second-place student, just scoffs from the side. He's been waiting years to see the genius finally fall on his face. He mocks Jiang Yan loudly, reminding the crowd that mana capacity doesn't guarantee a combat class. He's banking on Jiang Yan failing. The teacher puts a hand on Jiang Yan's back, telling him to go up first. He's hoping his best student will bring the whole class some good luck. The official leads the way up the massive stone, steps toward the awakening platform. He tells them to stay calm and just place their hands on the crystal sphere. Standing at the top of the plaza, the official calls out Jiang Yan's name. It's time for the top student of Nanrong #1 to step forward. Jiang Yan walks toward the glowing orb, his footsteps echoing in the quiet plaza. He's moving toward a fate he's already lived through once before. He stands alone in the center of the massive platform, the machinery of the station humming around him. The crowd holds its breath as he reaches for the crystal. He looks completely confident as he steps up. Unlike the people watching with high expectations, he already knows exactly what his result will be. The teacher and the other students are visibly tense, praying for him to get a combat class. They have no idea that Jiang Yan is about to become the biggest joke in school. Yang Hongwei's lackeys are already talking trash, convinced that a slum rat like Jiang Yan is destined for a useless crafting class. Jiang Yan places his hand on the crystal sphere, and the awakening machinery roars to life. A massive, claw-like structure holds the orb as purple magic circles erupt around him. Golden energy surges from the sphere, flowing through Jiang Yan's hand and lighting up the entire platform. This is the moment of truth that will define his future. A massive pillar of light erupts from the platform, swallowing Jiang Yan whole. The energy is so intense it swirls around him in glowing ribbons of mana. The light begins to fade, and a massive blue system screen materializes in the air. The word Repairman is etched across the center in bold letters. The full results appear, confirming the worst. Jiang Yan has awakened as an F-rank repairman. Despite having a perfect 100% mana affinity, his class is strictly for crafting. The teacher is devastated, clutching his head as he stares at the screen. He can't believe the top student in both academics and combat just landed the lowest-ranked class possible. Yang Hongwei and his friends are practically doubling over with laughter. They're thrilled to see the school's star student fall so far, mocking his new F-rank repairman status. Yang laughs so hard he can barely breathe, pointing a finger at his rival. For 3 years, he's been stuck in second place, and he's clearly savoring this moment of petty triumph. The awakening official tries to offer a bit of comfort, suggesting that a repairman can still make a decent living. Jiang Yan stands in the shadows, his expression unreadable as the crowd continues to jeer. Suddenly, the crystal sphere begins to hum with a new, even more violent energy. Crackling blue lightning starts to arc across the orb's surface, surprising everyone. The official's eyes go wide as he realizes the ceremony isn't over yet. He shouts out that the sphere is reacting again. Jiang Yan is awakening a second class. The teacher's face lights up with a flicker of hope. Dual classes are incredibly rare, usually reserved for the kind of geniuses who become world-class powerhouses. He wipes the sweat from his brow, praying that this second class will be the combat role Jiang Yan needs to save his future. He's desperate for a turnaround. Another massive explosion of light rocks the platform, even brighter than the first one. Swirling currents of blue and gold mana collide in a chaotic display of power. The smoke clears, and the second class is revealed to the world. A new screen appears, labeling Jiang Yan as a farmer. The final status screen displays the impossible, a dual-class user with 2 F ranks. Jiang Yan is officially a repairman and a farmer, the most useless combination imaginable. The faculty and the other students are stunned into silence. Even the official is at a loss for words, wondering how someone could get 2 classes that are each worse than the last. The crowd explodes into a fresh wave of mockery. They're calling him a double F-rank genius, laughing at the irony of a top student being so gifted at manual labor. Jiang Yan doesn't say a word as he turns and begins walking down the platform steps. He ignores the insults, focusing entirely on his own path. The teacher looks away, unable to watch as the students continue to whisper about Jiang Yan's terrible luck. To them, he's gone from a legendary prodigy to absolute trash. As he walks away, the murmurs follow him. Everyone assumes his years of hard work were for nothing, pitying him for his fall from grace. Jiang Yan doesn't feel unlucky at all. In fact, there's a slight smirk on his face. He knows that his classes might look weak, but his real power is hidden elsewhere. He keeps walking with his hands in his pockets, completely unbothered by the ridicule. The masses have no idea he's just awakened a talent skill that defies the laws of reality. The status screen confirms his assigned class is just a repairman, but the real prize is his secret talent. Modify. It allows him to change a single character in the name of any skill or item to completely rewrite its function. He has a guaranteed success rate on anything he owns, though messing with higher-level targets starts to get risky. He pulls up his private system window to look at Modify. This skill allows him to change the very characters in a name to fundamentally alter its existence. He focuses on his farmer class skill, digital particles beginning to swirl around his hand. He prepares to execute his first modification, changing Growth Boost into Revive. The original skill was a simple F-rank ability meant to speed up plant growth by a measly 10%. To most people, it would be a complete joke. With a surge of mana, Jiang Yan activates his talent. The system screen glitches and flickers with neon colors as the modification takes hold. The screen stabilizes, revealing the new skill, Revive. It's an SSS-tier ability capable of healing all injuries and even bringing the dead back to life. Jiang Yan smirks as he looks at his hand. With a trump card like this, he doesn't need a high-ranking class to reach the top. He makes his way to the city center, looking up at the massive pillar displaying the freshman rankings. He's already planning to take the #1 spot on every leaderboard. A look of cold determination enters his eyes as he walks. He's ready to show the world the true terror of being dominated by someone they labeled as F-rank. He knows that the top-ranked students receive resources beyond imagination, and he's not planning to share. In this life, he's going to become the strongest on his own terms. He arrives at the novice training base, a massive industrial facility designed for new hunters to level up. This particular zone is known for its charging rabbits. The base is stocked with weak demon creatures that are safe enough for beginners to hunt. For Jiang Yan, it's the perfect place to start gathering EXP. He knows that breaking the clearing record here will grant him bonus points for the upcoming provincial tournament. This is his ticket into a top-tier university. Jiang Yan strides toward the entrance, hands in his pockets. He isn't just here to level up, he's here to shatter every record in the building. At the registration desk, the base official checks Jiang Yan's student ID. He notes that this kid was the top student but only managed to awaken 2 crafting classes. The official is skeptical, wondering how a double F-rank artisan thinks he can survive in the dungeon. He doesn't see any combat potential in the boy at all. He looks up from his tablet and asks if Jiang Yan is seriously planning to challenge the dungeon solo. Even the beginner stages can be dangerous for someone without a combat class. He steps forward and places a hand on Jiang Yan's shoulder, trying to be helpful. He suggests that it would be much safer to join a party with some of his classmates. Jiang Yan looks him straight in the eye, his expression completely calm. He politely declines the help and asks for his basic starter gear to be issued. The awakening official sighs as he watches Jiang Yan walk away. He assumes the boy is simply unable to accept the harsh reality of his F-rank dual classes. He hands over the standard starter kit to the former top student. It's a meager set, just an iron sword and a pair of basic leather boots. Jiang Yan looks down at the equipment, nodding that it's actually slightly better than the single sword he received in his past life. He suspects the official is showing him a bit of pity. System windows appear for the items, an iron sword providing 5 attack power and leather boots granting 3 speed. Both are level 1 equipment. Jiang Yan offers a polite smile and a word of thanks. He doesn't mind the man's pity, even if he knows it's based on a false assumption of weakness. He steps toward the massive, industrial gate of the novice training ground. Behind those walls lie the charging rabbits he intends to use for his rapid growth. "Thanks for the warning," Jiang Yan says over his shoulder, waving dismissively to the officials. His calm demeanor is a sharp contrast to their concern. The heavy doors slam shut with a loud metallic crash, locking him inside the dungeon. He is now officially on his own, exactly where he wants to be. Once out of sight, Jiang Yan stops and activates his talent. Digital blocks and neon colors erupt around him as he calls upon the power of Modify. He targets the iron sword first. In a flash of light, the weapon is reshaped and strengthened, transforming from a basic iron blade into a more powerful steel sword. Next, he modifies the leather boots. They glow with purple energy as they become wind boots, now offering significantly higher speed and an additional percentage boost. Jiang Yan examines his newly modified sword. He knows he could easily turn it into a holy or demon blade, but he decides against it for now. He maintains a cold, calculating focus, reminding himself to keep a low profile. He knows the dungeon is monitored by surveillance cameras. The memory of being treated like a puppet in his past life still burns. He won't make the mistake of exposing his full talent too early this time. He decides that this level of equipment is more than enough for the basic zone. He isn't looking to draw unnecessary attention to himself just yet. The training ground is a massive, dark facility divided into 3 distinct sectors: the basic zone, the advanced zone, and the boss zone. From the shadows of the basic zone, dozens of glowing red eyes watch the newcomer. The monsters are already sensing a target. To break the record and secure his future, Jiang Yan knows he has to reach the boss zone and slay the strongest monster in the facility. A group of adult charging rabbits hops out of the brush. They are low-level demonic beasts with hard crystal armor on their heads, known for their aggressive ramming attacks. Jiang Yan readies his sword, his eyes fixed on the pack. His immediate goal is to hit level 5 right here by clearing out at least 100 of these creatures. One of the rabbits screeches, its red eyes glowing as it prepares to charge. It's much larger and more menacing than a normal rabbit. Suddenly, a massive swarm of the creatures erupts from the darkness, a literal carpet of monsters charging straight at him with their crystal-plated heads lowered. Jiang Yan doesn't flinch. He grips his sword and steps into the fray, his movements fluid and precise as he prepares his first strike. With a single, glowing slash of his modified blade, he cuts through the lead monster. The blue energy of his attack leaves a trail of light in the air. He becomes a whirlwind of steel, spinning through the crowd of monsters. Every swing of his sword sends rabbits flying, their crystal armor shattered. He moves with a speed that shouldn't be possible for an F-rank class, propelled by his wind boots and his own honed instincts from a previous life. As he fights, he thinks ahead to level 10. That's when he'll unlock a god-tier skill capable of creating ultimate demonic beasts. His resolve is unshakable. Every monster he slays is just another step toward becoming strong enough to never be a puppet again. He delivers a crushing blow to another creature, the impact sending out a shockwave. He's pushing himself to clear this stage as quickly as possible. While he's busy in the dungeon, he remembers that his rival, Yang Hongwei, should be undergoing his own awakening ceremony right about now. Back at the school plaza, the atmosphere is electric. The teacher calls out Yang Hongwei's name, and the arrogant student steps up to the crystal sphere. Yang Hongwei is sweating, his face tight with desperation. He's praying for anything, a B rank or even a C rank, as long as it beats Jiang Yan's F rank. The crystal sphere erupts in a violent explosion of mana and light. Huge ribbons of blue and white energy spiral upward, much more powerful than the average awakening. A massive glowing banner materializes above the platform. The word Berserker is written in jagged, fiery letters, signaling a powerful combat class. Yang Hongwei's status window confirms the result: an A-rank primary combat profession with 69% mana affinity. It's an incredible role for any student. Yang Hongwei throws his arms out and lets out a triumphant roar. He's ecstatic, shouting at the top of his lungs that he has finally won. The crowd of students is in shock. They can't believe the perennial number 2 has actually come out on top with such a high-tier class. Yang Hongwei stands tall, pointing a finger toward the sky. He declares that from this day forward, no one is allowed to call him second best ever again. A cruel smirk spreads across his face as he enjoys the attention. He finally has the power he's always craved. He shouts his own name to the heavens, letting the entire city know that Yang Hongwei is now the undisputed number 1 in the class. His group of lackeys immediately gathers around him, showering him with praise. They're already mocking the trash, Jiang Yan in comparison to their new boss Yang. Yang laughs along with them, wondering where that double F trash has run off to. He's almost disappointed that Jiang Yan isn't there to witness his glory. One of Yang Hongwei's lackeys leans in with a snide grin, reporting that he spotted Jiang Yan heading toward the novice training base. Yang Hongwei leads his group away from the plaza, his hands in his pockets and a malicious smirk on his face. They decide to follow the double F trash to the training base under the guise of offering help. The teacher watches them go with a deep frown, adjusting his glasses. He knows all too well that Yang Hongwei is just looking for a new way to humiliate Jiang Yan now that he has the advantage of an A-rank class. In the quiet of the night, a single light remains on in a classroom. The memory of Jiang Yan's relentless work ethic is well known, as he often stayed late into the night buried in his studies. The flashback continues to the sports field, where a younger Jiang Yan runs lap after lap under the hot sun. He pushed his physical limits until it was painful for anyone else to even watch. Even in the mana tempering room, he was an outlier. He would sit in the center of the surging energy with the pain threshold maxed out, never letting out so much as a whimper of discomfort. The teacher can't wrap his head around the result of the ceremony. He wonders how a student who sacrificed so much and worked so tirelessly could end up with the most useless F-rank professions. Wang Qingfeng stands at the edge of the crowd, slowly pulling a lollipop from his mouth. Unlike the others, he is certain that even an F-rank label won't be enough to halt Jiang Yan's progress. As the second-ranked student in both academics and combat, Wang Qingfeng has always been in Jiang Yan's shadow. He knows better than anyone the sheer ruthlessness with which his rival trains. He narrows his eyes, his mind drifting back to their freshman year finals. That was the moment he truly understood the gap between them. In the center of the school's massive arena, the two boys had faced off in a sparring match. Despite his own talent, Wang Qingfeng was utterly humbled by the intensity of Jiang Yan's assault. Even when bruised and battered, Jiang Yan's eyes never lost their focus. He was a force of nature that refused to be stopped, regardless of the toll it took on his body. Hearing that Yang Hongwei is heading to the training base to start trouble, Wang Qingfeng decides to follow. He won't miss the chance to see how his rival handles this new challenge. He walks with a calm, predatory grace, his gaze fixed on the path ahead. In his mind, he is the only person who has earned the right to defeat and humiliate Jiang Yan. Deep inside the training ground, Jiang Yan sits atop a literal mountain of slain monsters. He is drenched in sweat and panting heavily, having just aggroed and slaughtered over 100 rabbits in a single go. He leans on his sword, looking out over the dark cavern. He knows that only the Rabbit King remains, and defeating it is the key to clearing the zone and reaching level 5. The ground trembles as the charging Rabbit King emerges from the shadows. It's a massive beast with a jagged, glowing orange crystal protruding from its forehead and eyes that burn with a primal rage. A system window shows Jiang Yan's current state, level 4 with 94% experience. He is visibly exhausted, blood and grime staining his school uniform as he assesses the threat. The king of the low-level demonic beast snorts, lowering its head. The elemental crystal on its brow begins to hum with dangerous energy. With a deafening roar, the massive rabbit launches itself forward, tearing up the ground as it charges toward the weakened student. Jiang Yan watches the beast approach, his wind boots glowing with a faint green aura. He knows that a direct, physical clash with a level 5 boss in his current state would be suicide. The Rabbit King's crystal erupts into a violent blaze of fire as it activates its innate skill, Flame Headbutt. The air around it shimmers from the intense heat of the coming impact. Jiang Yan snaps his fingers with a sharp, metallic sound, his light purple eyes glowing with a cold intensity. He calls upon his Modify talent, having waited for the monster to reveal its ultimate move. The charging Rabbit King is about to land a devastating flame headbutt, but Jiang Yan isn't worried. He uses his Modify skill to change just one letter, turning the headbutt into a headburst. The new description is brutal. Instead of an attack, it causes the elemental crystal armor on the boss's skull to detonate instantly. It's a total self-destruction move forced onto the enemy. Unaware that its fate is already sealed, the giant rabbit screams and charges forward with its head glowing like a sun. It thinks it's about to crush the human in front of it. The moment the skill triggers, the Rabbit King's head literally explodes in a massive ball of fire. The headburst works exactly as advertised, ending the boss fight in a single second. Jiang Yan stands amidst the debris, barely breaking a sweat as the dust settles around him. He thinks to himself that a self-destruct skill really does work like a charm. The experience points from the boss kill flood in, pushing his level up again. A system window pops up to confirm he's officially reached level 5. Back at the training base, a massive announcement screen flickers to life, declaring the record for the Charging Rabbit's zone has been shattered. Jiang Yan didn't just beat the record, he absolutely obliterated it with a time of 26 minutes and 2 seconds. The other students can't believe their eyes, pointing and shouting at the screen in pure disbelief. The previous record was over an hour, and this F-rank guy just cut it down by more than half. Yang Hongwei stares at the board, his face twisting as cold sweat drips down his neck. He can't wrap his head around how a dual F-rank could possibly pull off something so impossible. The crowd starts whispering about the only logical explanation they can think of: cheating. If he really did cheat in the training base, his reputation is going to be completely ruined once he's caught. Yang Hongwei clenches his fist, his eyes narrowing as he vows to personally tear off Jiang Yan's fake mask. He's convinced the genius Sterntrash is pulling some kind of scam. Deep in the dungeon, the target of all that hate is just taking a breather on a rock, surrounded by a green glow. Jiang Yan activates a regeneration skill to top off his health before moving to the next stage. He looks ahead, already picturing his next opponent, the Cyclone Wolf King. In his past life, that beast was a nightmare that put him through the ringer, but things are different now. He stands up, grabbing his sword and shaking off the fatigue from the first zone. The warm-up is officially over. With the blade resting over his shoulder, Jiang Yan walks deeper into the dungeon with a determined look. He's not just here to level up. This time, he's going to collect some serious interest on everything he lost. Jiang Yan arrives at the Cyclone Wolf base. This place is famous for being a slaughterhouse for rookies, but he's not exactly a normal rookie anymore. Most freshmen are barely level 5 when they start, but the monsters here range from level 6 all the way up to 10. The Wolf King waiting at the end is a nightmare for anyone unprepared. For a regular student, picking this base is a one-way ticket to a world of pain. The intensity of these wolves is enough to break most people before they even clear the first room. But where there's risk, there's a massive payout. High-tier rewards are the only thing that can jumpstart Jiang Yan's plan to rewrite his destiny. A successful clear means hitting level 10 instantly. It's a shortcut that bypasses weeks of grinding, provided you can actually survive the slaughter. Normally, it takes 10 full days of hard work for a freshman to reach that milestone. Jiang Yan doesn't have that kind of time to waste. Reaching level 10 isn't just about stats, it's the threshold for awakening a second innate skill. That's the real prize he's after. Every second counts on his path to becoming the strongest. The faster he hits the level cap for this zone, the sooner he can move on to the real challenges. The senior staff member checking him in is skeptical, asking if he's really planning to solo a dungeon that usually requires a full party of 6. He warns Jiang Yan that even an A-rank genius ended up severely injured and missed his exams trying this. He doesn't think a kid with F-rank classes stands a chance. The man doesn't hold back, calling Jiang Yan dual F-rank trash and accusing him of looking for a death wish. Jiang Yan just gives a polite smile and thanks the senior for his concern. His mind was made up the second he stepped off the bus. The staff member scoffs and steps aside, telling Jiang Yan that if he's so hell-bent on dying, he won't stand in his way. The massive portal hums as the path ahead opens. Jiang Yan walks into the dark corridor, completely unfazed by the insults. He's not going to let a little barking stop his stride toward the top. Deep inside the base, the wolves sense an intruder and start howling. They're hungry, and a lone human looks like an easy meal. Jiang Yan breaks into a run, heading straight for the heart of the training zone. It's time to see if his preparations were enough. He draws his sword, the blade shimmering with a sharp, colorful glow. He hasn't fought like this in years, and he's eager to test his current limits. From a safe observation deck, the staff member watches the monitor with a smug look. He's still convinced he's about to watch a piece of trash get torn apart. He thinks Jiang Yan is just another arrogant fool who confused bravery with suicide. Rushing in alone like that usually ends in a bloodbath. But the blood isn't coming from Jiang Yan. He carves through the pack with surgical precision, racking up experience points with every swing. The staff member's smugness vanishes instantly as he sees how at ease the boy is. He realizes Jiang Yan hasn't even used a single innate skill yet. He starts to sweat, gripping the railing as he watches the trash he mocked dominate the battlefield. He begins to wonder if he just witnessed a hidden genius in action. A short while later, the dust starts to settle, leaving only a literal pool of blood on the floor. Jiang Yan stands triumphantly atop a mountain of wolf carcasses. He's cleared out the entire pack, turning the slaughterhouse into his own personal grinding spot. Back in the control room, the staff member is frozen in shock. His eyes are wide as he realizes just how wrong his initial assessment was. He quickly starts heading for the exit, terrified of what happens next. He knows he humiliated the kid earlier and doesn't want to be around for the payback. Jiang Yan drops to one knee, glowing with green energy as his wounds begin to knit back together. He's almost level 10, but the intensity of the fight nearly pushed him to the brink. He activates regeneration, his first innate skill, which consumes mana to heal his physical body. It's the only reason he's still standing after taking those hits. He stands back up on his mountain of trophies, looking down at the fallen beasts. They were much tougher than the rabbits he fought earlier, but their speed still couldn't match his. He clenches his fist, ignoring the lingering stings across his arms. The pain is a small price to pay for the progress he's making. His sword is caked in blood, a testament to the sheer volume of wolves he's cut down to get this far. His eyes narrow as he looks toward the shadows. The main event is finally arriving. A massive silhouette emerges from the dust, its eyes glowing with a predatory green light. Jiang Yan knows it's time for the true battle between kings. The Cyclone Wolf King lets out a bone-chilling roar, baring teeth that are designed to crush steel. This level 10 beast is the peak of its kind, infused with wind elements that allow it to move faster than the eye can follow. Jiang Yan calmly analyzes the threat, noting the king's specific skills. It relies on extreme speed and razor-sharp wind blades to finish off prey. The king lunges, its body trailing green energy as it activates its speed boost. It's a devastating combo that would shred any normal freshman in seconds. Jiang Yan keeps his cool, looking for a way to use his modification talent. He quickly realizes there's no simple way to rewrite the wolf's own skills on the fly. As the monster pounces, he decides against forcing a modification that might glitch out and fail. Instead, he reaches for his collar, deciding to change his approach entirely for this final encounter. He sheds his bloodied shirt and stands ready, sword in hand among the ruins of the pack. He's going to end this fight on his own terms, the old-fashioned way. A massive shockwave ripples out as he meets the Wolf King's charge head-on. He's not just relying on skills anymore. He's bringing a lifetime of combat experience to the table. Jiang Yan closes the gap with a single jump, putting every ounce of his new strength into this finishing blow. He was always a genius on paper, but now he's proving he can handle himself on the front lines, too. Meanwhile, things aren't looking nearly as cool back at the Charging Rabbit novice base. A group of freshmen are sprawled on the ground, gasping for air after barely surviving an encounter. They're just glad to be alive after having to call for a rescue. The base staff aren't exactly giving out participation trophies, chewing them out for wandering into the advanced zone like idiots. Among the bruised students is Yang Hongwei, absolutely fuming as he wonders how a bastard like Jiang Yan cleared a zone his party couldn't even enter. He ends up taking his frustration out on a teammate, punching him in the gut while screaming that there's no way Jiang Yan didn't cheat. But the scoreboard is out here ending careers. Jiang Yan didn't just clear it, he absolutely shattered the record with a time of 29 minutes. The other students are losing their minds, realizing that the previous record of an hour and a half has been cut down by 30 entire minutes. They can only stare at the board in shock as Jiang Yan's rank jumps up by over 300,000 places in a single go. Yang Hongwei's face twists into a nasty grin as he decides that if Jiang Yan wants to play dirty, He'll show him what a real disgrace feels like. He tells his buddies they're heading over to the Cyclone Wolf base, acting like he's there to cheer, while secretly hopping to see a disaster. He's determined to expose his rival as a fraud and humiliate him in front of everyone. Back in the dungeon, the carnage is total, with nothing but a blood-stained blade and dead wolves left in Jiang Yan's wake. He takes a breather in the sunlight, finally hitting level 10 and unlocking the chance to awaken his second set of skills. The system pings with the good news, granting him durability for his artisan class and plant grafting for his farmer class. His status window shows he's officially hit the big double digits, adding 2 more tools to his growing arsenal. He's a bloody mess, but his eyes are locked on the screen as he prepares to use Modify to break the rules once again. With a flicker of energy, he targets the mundane plant grafting and gets to work. The modification hits, turning a simple farming ability into the god-tier all things grafting. Jiang Yan knows he's just hit the jackpot. This is the power to create the ultimate demonic beasts. Even at level 1, he can start grafting the genes of different species together to create entirely new, superior creatures. He realizes that once he levels this skill up to 10, his success rate for creating top-tier monsters will hit a perfect 100%. This means he can take powerful beasts and fuse them into nightmares with even more insane racial abilities. The potential is crazy. He could potentially birth an S-rank beast by merging 2 A-rank ones. Once he gets a beast tamer, Scroll, he'll be able to bring these fused monsters under his absolute control. He can already see himself leading a loyal battle pet that towers over anything else on the battlefield. He hasn't forgotten the past life, where he was treated like a puppet by the elites. He remembers being forced to kneel, while others took all the glory he helped them build. That's not happening this time. In this life, every ounce of power he gathers belongs to him alone. He sheathes his sword and looks over the field of dead wolves, satisfied with the haul. Luck is on his side when a rare magic crystal drops, a high-value item that can be used to buff his gear. The crystals inside the base technically belong to the school, but now that he's level 10, he can finally venture into the real wilderness. Once he's outside the Demon Rift, every bit of loot he finds is his to keep, which should solve his money problems for good. He lets out a pained hiss as the adrenaline starts to fade, and the injuries start talking back. He's covered in wounds that his revive skill won't touch since they aren't fatal, and he doesn't want to blow his cash on a hospital bill. A wild idea crosses his mind. Since revive triggers on death, maybe he should just reset his health by killing himself. But with working knights patrolling the area, a public suicide would definitely attract the wrong kind of attention. He decides to find a quiet, secluded spot to handle the reset away from prying eyes. Jiang Yan quietly slips out of the training base and heads back toward the city. As he reaches the Academy Plaza, he's greeted by a massive crowd gathered under the sun. He stops in his tracks, wondering why there are so many people waiting around. "Look, that's Jiang Yan, the freshman who set the new record," a student shouts, pointing toward the approaching figure. Jiang Yan scans the crowd, realizing the news of his achievement has spread much faster than he anticipated. He picks up his pace, knowing that the massive crowd makes it impossible for him to use his revive skill without being noticed. Beads of sweat roll down his face as his injuries grow more painful, the stain of blood on his shirt a clear sign of his current state. Surrounded by curious onlookers and whispering students, he realizes he needs to find a way to shake them off before his condition worsens. Suddenly, a brilliant golden light descends from the sky, bathing the plaza in a warm, ethereal glow. A figure with massive glowing wings floats down, casting a powerful healing spell that begins to mend Jiang Yan's wounds instantly. The crowd erupts in whispers as they recognize the rare and powerful S-rank support class, the Holy Angel. The girl is Yao Kexin, a member of the prestigious Yao family whose presence alone is enough to silence the plaza. "I can't believe she came too," one student exclaims as everyone watches the elite student ascend. Jiang Yan feels the surge of energy as the healing magic takes effect, his pain vanishing along with the light. Yao Kexin lands gracefully, her expression calm and composed as she looks at the boy she just helped. My injuries are almost completely healed now. Thank you, Jiang Yan says, acknowledging her timely intervention. He offers her a deal in return for the heal, promising to repair her equipment whenever she needs it in the future. He notes to himself that a support-type ally is exactly what he lacks, seeing the potential in a future partnership. Yao Kexin smiles warmly, clasping her hands together as she accepts his offer of future maintenance. The peaceful moment is shattered as Yang Hongwei shoves his way through the crowd, his face twisted into a familiar sneer. "Everyone, don't let this guy fool you," he bellows, waving his arms to draw the crowd's attention. He points an accusing finger at Jiang Yan, labeling him a cheating mutt and claiming his record was a complete fraud. The crowd begins to murmur as Yang Hongwei reveals Jiang Yan's F-rank status, a class with 0 combat potential. He grandstands for the onlookers, arguing that it's impossible for a double F-rank to clear a dungeon solo without cheating. Grinning maliciously, he mocks Jiang Yan for allegedly using pathetic tricks to try and finally surpass him. He turns the crowd's suspicion toward Jiang Yan's background, pointing out that he's known to be a poor student. "He's been scamming the school's financial aid," Yang Hongwei screams, making a baseless accusation to ruin Jiang Yan's reputation. The crowd's mood turns sour as students begin to whisper about the truth behind Jiang Yan's sudden success. Jiang Yan remains unfazed by the slander, simply asking if his rival wants him to prove he didn't cheat. Yang Hongwei jumps at the chance, challenging Jiang Yan to a fight without his supposedly overpowered equipment. Yao Kexin steps forward, her face full of concern as she warns Jiang Yan not to fall for such a blatant provocation. Jiang Yan thanks her for the concern, but his mind is already made up as he reaches for the hilt of his massive blade. With a single, fluid motion, he draws his sword and slams the tip into the ground, accepting the challenge in front of everyone. He decides he needs to put an end to Yang Hongwei's interference now, before it gets in the way of his real goals. Yang Hongwei erupts in a violent red aura, his eyes glowing with malice as he prepares his A-rank berserker powers. He vows to beat Jiang Yan so badly that his fake mask will be shattered right along with his teeth. A system window reveals his berserk talent, which boosts his physical stats significantly at the cost of his own life force. The bully charges forward with inhuman speed, his body trailing red energy as he closes the distance. Jiang Yan watches the reckless charge with a cold, detached gaze, unimpressed by the display of raw power. He sees right through the attempt to use class superiority, knowing that ranks alone don't determine the outcome of a fight. He clenches his fist, considering his rival's class-based confidence to be nothing more than a superficial advantage. Stepping into a refined combat stance, Jiang Yan prepares to show the crowd that true strength comes from within. Yang Hongwei throws a heavy punch, his face contorted with rage as he tries to end the fight in a single blow. Yao Kexin watches with growing dread, believing that an F-rank crafter has no chance against an A-rank combatant in a fair fight. But Jiang Yan remains perfectly calm, his eyes tracking every move as he gets ready to deliver his counterattack. Jiang Yan shifts into a low, focused combat stance, his hands empty but his gaze unwavering. He remembers that he had already meticulously restored all of his modified equipment before leaving the novice base. He glances down at his open palm, knowing that his current physical power is enough to handle a common bully without relying on hidden items. By fighting barehanded, he ensures that no one will notice anything unusual about his upgraded gear. Standing firmly on the stone tiles, he makes a point of showing he carries no weapons or armor. He confirms to himself that he doesn't have a single piece of equipment on him, forcing the fight to be one of pure raw ability. Yang Hongwei roars as he lunges forward, his body wreathed in a turbulent red aura of berserk energy. He clenches his teeth in a savage grin, certain that this is the moment he will finally end Jiang Yan's streak of luck. Yang Hongwei throws a massive, glowing punch, but Jiang Yan pivots on his heel with surgical precision. The blow whistles through empty air, leaving the A-rank berserker wide-eyed and stumbling as his momentum carries him past his target. Veins bulge on Yang Hongwei's forehead as he forced himself to stop, the red energy around him flaring into an intense flame. He refuses to believe his enhanced speed and strength could be evaded so casually by an F-rank student. He unleashes a frantic barrage of strikes, his fists becoming a blur of red streaks as he tries to overwhelm his opponent. "I refuse to believe you can dodge every single punch," he screams, pouring every ounce of his mana into the assault. Jiang Yan moves like water, his body blurring as he weaves through the gaps in the berserker's sloppy technique. Each punch misses by a mere fraction of an inch, leaving afterimages of the protagonist as he effortlessly maintains his distance. Jiang Yan watches a glowing fist sail past his face, his expression remaining cold and analytical. He acknowledges that an A-rank berserker is indeed a powerful combat class, possessing overwhelming physical potential. Another heavy strike is deflected away as Jiang Yan continues to toy with his rival's aggression. He knows that no matter how much power an attack holds, it means absolutely nothing if it never makes contact with the target. Jiang Yan slips inside Yang Hongwei's guard, his hand pulled back in a tight, controlled fist. He remarks that throwing punches blindly is a waste of stamina, having memorized every flaw in his rival's fighting style over the last 3 years. He drives a sharp, decisive punch into Yang Hongwei's midsection, the impact creating a shockwave that shatters the other's red aura. A sickening crack echoes through the plaza as the force of the blow sends the bully reeling. Jiang Yan stands over his doubled-over opponent, his eyes reflecting a level of experience that far surpasses his student status. He points out that while Yang Hongwei spent years trying to dominate him, he never once managed to see through Jiang Yan's true capabilities. Yang Hongwei collapses to his knees, saliva and blood spraying from his mouth as the air is forced from his lungs. He gasps in disbelief, his eyes wide with shock as he struggles to understand how he was defeated so thoroughly. The arrogant student hits the ground with a heavy thud, sliding several feet across the pavement. His group of followers breaks from the crowd, running toward him with panicked shouts for their fallen leader. Jiang Yan stands tall against the backdrop of the clear blue sky, his breathing steady as if he had barely exerted himself. He looks down at the defeated berserker and simply notes that he was the one who came out on top. Stunned silence grips the plaza before the onlookers erupt into frantic whispers and expressions of pure disbelief. They can't wrap their heads around the fact that a student with an F-rank crafting class just crushed an A-rank combatant. Jiang Yan turns his back on the chaos, casually dusting off his hands as he prepares to depart. He decides that the matter is settled, and there is no point in wasting any more of his time on someone so far beneath him. He walks away from the academy grounds, his hands in his pockets as he plans his next move toward the dangerous wilderness. He knows that before he can truly begin his journey, he needs to secure a proper set of equipment. An image of a legendary, glowing blade flashes in his mind, surrounded by the intricate runic circles of his unique ability. He remains confident that with his modify skill, obtaining top-tier gear is only a matter of finding a basic starting point. He stops outside the massive training base, scratching his head as he realizes he already returned all the school-issued equipment. He decides his first stop must be the street stalls to find some cheap items to use as a base for his modifications. He reaches into his pocket and pulls out a few meager coins, his face falling into a dejected, comical expression. He sighs deeply, realizing that even the most basic equipment might be out of reach with the tiny amount of money he has left. Someone throws a massive punch right at Jiang Yan's back while he's walking away. He doesn't even flinch, sensing the attack coming before it even gets close. A quick palm block stops the strike dead in its tracks. Jiang Yan glanced back, thinking it was Yang Hongwei again. He was sick and tired of this guy's nonsense. However, contrary to his expectations, Wang Qingfeng stepped forward to pay his respects. He had been keeping an eye on Jiang Yan, knowing that he had topped both the academic and combat rankings for 3 years straight. He tosses a cold can of soda over to his old rival. The two start walking through the school plaza, popping their drinks. Wang Qingfeng admits he was watching the fight earlier and would have stepped in if things got messy. He's selective about who he respects, and right now, he only acknowledges Jiang Yan. In his eyes, guys like Yang Hongwei are just trash not worth mentioning. Jiang Yan keeps it humble, mentioning he wasn't even going all out back there. It takes them both back to a match during their freshman year, The arena was packed and the stakes were high. Back then, a younger Wang Qingfeng actually surrendered after taking a beating. Since that day, Jiang Yan has forfeited every single year they were supposed to face off. They both take a long drink, the history between them hanging in the air. Jiang Yan wonders if his rival was just trying to hand him the top scholarship. After all, a rich kid like Wang isn't exactly hurting for cash. But his friend shoots that down immediately. He forfeited because Jiang Yan's eyes were just way too ruthless back then. Looking ahead to the national freshman tournament, Jiang Yan asks if he's planning to give up again. That's definitely not happening this time. Wang Qingfeng has a sharp look in his eyes, promising to fight until someone's teeth are on the floor. They lock eyes, both ready to finally go all out against each other. A final toast of theirs seals the promise in front of the city skyline. Wang Qingfeng pulls out a payment card and hands over 2,000 credits. He's officially buying the Speed Clear strategy for the Whirlwind Wolf dungeon. He waves goodbye, telling Jiang Yan not to keep him waiting on that info. Jiang Yan watches him walk off into the crowd. He appreciates the support and vows to repay the favor tenfold when the time comes. With some fresh credits in his pocket, Jiang Yan decides it's time to go shopping. He heads toward the street stalls to see what's for sale. He weaves through the crosswalk, eyes peeled for any hidden gems waiting in the piles of junk. He heads down into the narrow, grimy alleys of the black market. This place is legendary for being cheap, but it's mostly filled with absolute garbage. Finding a real treasure here is like finding a needle in a haystack. But for Jiang Yan, nothing is completely impossible. He stops at a stall where the stall owner is lounging back in sunglasses. His eyes land on a Demonfall blade that's been embedded with a Whirlwind Wolf magic crystal. The blade is jagged and glows with a faint green light at the hilt. A system window pops up, showing it's an E-rank weapon at level 10. It's got decent attack power and applies a freezing effect to anyone it hits. The stall owner doesn't hesitate to name his price, 18,000 credits. He claims it'd be worth way more if the durability wasn't taking a hit. Jiang Yan isn't falling for it. Even for a decent blade, that price is a total ripoff. He shifts his gaze to a plain, rusty sword leaning against the wall. He asks what the price is for that one. The system shows it just a basic bronze sword with mediocre stats, forged from ordinary metal. Jiang Yan makes his move. He offers to repair the expensive Demonfall blade for the guy if he throws in the useless bronze sword for free. The owner pulls his shades down in disbelief, shocked that a kid thinks he can actually do high-level repairs. A system notification confirms he's activating his durability repair skill. A blue glow forms around his hand as he gets to work. The owner has no idea that the broken blade was just a distraction. Jiang Yan's real prize was that bronze sword all along. He keeps his focus tight as the repair finishes. Behind that rusty bronze exterior is the legendary Azure Steel sword. Once Jiang Yan uses his Modify skill on it, this junk will transform into a weapon that can rewrite his entire future. The stall owner leans back, eyes narrowed with skepticism as he questions the kid's actual rank and durability skill. He's clearly not buying that some random student can handle professional-grade weapon maintenance. Jiang Yan keeps his cool, identifying as a lowly F-rank repairman while a sphere of glowing blue digital energy gathers in his palm. He doesn't need a high rank to know exactly what he's doing. They're in a narrow market alley, surrounded by display swords of various ranks thrust into heavy stone bases all around the stall. The atmosphere is thick with the smell of old iron and magic. The vendor pulls out a massive blue blade, acting like a veteran giving a rookie student some much-needed life advice. He thinks he's teaching a lesson to a kid who's in over his head. He warns that once a weapon's durability hits rock bottom, it's nothing more than a heap of broken scrap metal that can't be salvaged. A single mistake could turn a treasure into trash. Real repair work means sensing the internal structure and the magic flow running through the weapon from the inside out. It's a delicate process that requires more than just raw power. The guy decides to set a high-stakes wager. If Jiang Yan fails and the durability drops further, he'll owe the vendor 18,000 credits. It's a trap designed to scare off the amateur. Yao Kexin watches from the crowd, her expression tense as she realizes even the B-rank professionals in her family's guild find this kind of work grueling. She's genuinely worried for him. Jiang Yan isn't intimidated, telling the man to just watch closely as he takes hold of the heavy blue sword. He's already seen everything he needs to know about the blade's condition. He taps into his past life's experience, remembering the long days he spent maintaining legendary A-rank and S-rank treasures for high-ranking figures. To him, this is standard procedure. Back then, he pushed himself to the absolute limit, grinding his teeth and hunting his useless repair skill until it became his greatest advantage. He never let his low rank define his ceiling. That relentless habit of excellence followed him back in time, giving him a massive edge over everyone else in this new life. His confidence is backed by decades of struggle. A massive holographic circuitry pattern erupts around the blade as the repair skill begins to analyze and restore the metal. The digital glow illuminates the dark alley. To a master with his memories, fixing a low-level piece of gear like this is child's play. He effortlessly guides the mana to patch up the internal fractures. The bystanders are floored, wondering how an F-rank kid could possibly possess this kind of world-class craftsmanship. The murmurs of the crowd turn from mockery to shock. Even Yao Kexin is stunned. She thought he was just being polite earlier, but the guy actually has the skills to back up his claims. She stares at the glowing blade in disbelief. He hands the blade back with a calm smile, the system window confirming it's now back to a perfect 100% durability. Not a single scratch remains on the surface. The stall owner's jaw hits the floor as he checks the work, realization dawning that he completely misjudged the kid's talent. He's looking at the blade like he's seeing a miracle. He happily takes the restored blade back, sounding like he's just witnessed a masterpiece being born right in front of him. His attitude toward Jiang Yan has done a complete 180. With the job finished, the stall owner willingly handed over the chipped sword as payment for Jiang Yan's services. He knows that with his unique power, he can turn this cheap hunk of metal into a pseudo-divine weapon with just one word. It's an exploit the world isn't ready for. The system window pops up for the Azure Steel sword, and he gets ready to modify its name and properties. A simple text change is all it takes to rewrite history. In a flash of blinding golden light, the basic blade is rewritten into the legendary Azure Jar sword. The transformation is absolute, changing the very essence of the steel. It's the same weapon that once belonged to an ancient divine general who single-handedly carved through entire enemy ranks. The blade hums with a power it hasn't felt in ages. With his weapon sorted, his thoughts turn to the 2,000 credits in his pocket, money he desperately needs to save for his future. Every penny counts when you're starting from zero. He remembers his younger sister, Jiang Yao, sobbing after their parents passed away. It's a loss she still hasn't moved on from even after all this time. She's grown withdrawn ever since, struggling to find any light in a world that's been nothing but hard on them. He can see her silhouette sitting alone at her desk. Jiang Yan lets out a heavy sigh, knowing he has to secure a future for her before he heads off to university. He needs to prepare living expenses that will last. He snapped out of his thoughts when Yao Kexin calls out to him, her presence in the street feeling strangely familiar. She's been following his performance closely. She cuts straight to the point, offering him 50,000 credits if he can help her power level her way to level 10. It's a staggering amount of money for a simple escort job. A quick look at her status reveals she's an S-rank holy angel, though her true potential is still under lock and key at level 0. She's a sleeping giant waiting to be awakened. He agrees to the deal without hesitation, and she beams with relief that he's willing to take the job. It's the first step toward a very lucrative partnership. He can't help but smirk to himself. The exact amount of money he needed practically walked right up and introduced itself to him. Luck is finally on his side. Yao Kexin then turns back to the vendor, asking to buy the Demonfall blade he's still holding. She's not wasting any time arming herself for their training session. The guy is skeptical, warning her that the price is 25,000 credits now that it's been restored to full durability. He's testing her to see if she actually has the funds. She hands over a fancy box containing a rare storage ring, and the vendor's eyes nearly pop out of his head at the display of wealth. It's proof that she's a high-class lady. The vendor immediately drops into a deep bow, offering the sword with both hands like he's serving royalty. He's practically groveling at her feet now. Jiang Yan watches from the side, noting that everything about her screams high class and incredibly expensive. She's clearly never wanted for anything in her life. He knew she was loaded, which is exactly why he didn't doubt her ability to casually hand him 50,000 credits. He's just glad she's the one paying. Yao Kexin tries to sheath the massive blade, but she can barely manage the weight of her new purchase. She stumbles back as the heavy steel nearly drags her down. Jiang Yan watches her struggle, already calculating how her support skills can help him challenge a boss he never met in his first life. He's thinking several steps ahead. She manages to steady herself and offers the sword toward him as a gift, hoping it'll be a good first step in their new partnership. She's looking for a way to show her gratitude. Jiang Yan notes her politeness, surprised that a girl from such a wealthy background isn't stuck up or arrogant. He takes the gift from her, offering a quick word of thanks while she stands there with a shy expression. Yao Kexin smiles, clearly relieved that he actually likes the weapon she picked out for him. She watches him closely, thinking that his potential seems limitless despite his low rank, and decides that building goodwill now is a smart long-term move. There's no more time to waste, so Jiang Yan leads the way as they head straight for the rookie training base. They arrive at a massive, modern facility designed for the new generation of hunters to test their skills and level up. Inside, the grind begins immediately. Jiang Yan tears through mobs so fast that Yao Kexin hits level 5 in no time. Announcements light up the server as they shatter the Charging Rabbit clear time record, moving straight into the Cyclone Wolf zone. It doesn't take long before another notification pings. They've officially crushed the Cyclone Wolf record as well. In the city center, the public leaderboards update in real time, flashing their names for everyone in the academy to see. Other students gather around the screens in a daze, wondering who this Jiang Yan is and if his partner is truly a member of the elite Yao family. The name carries immense weight, sparking frantic whispers among the crowd about which powerful lineage she belongs to. In the business world, the Yao family is synonymous with the Dali Chamber of Commerce, one of the nation's absolute top merchant associations. Back in the training zone, Yao Kexin is nearly at level 10, leaning on her staff as she catches her breath from the blistering pace. Jiang Yan has already reached level 13 and tells her they can rest while they walk toward their next challenge. He's eyeing the C-class zone, confident that her S-rank support skills will let them punch way above their weight class against stronger monsters. He sets his sights on the most dangerous rookie base available, the Netherflame Boar base. The entrance looms in the distance, a high-tech hangar shrouded in a thick, eerie mist that warns of the power within. A senior staff member stops them, warning that the Boar King is a complete monster compared to the wolves they just cleared. Jiang Yan just gives a calm half-smile, stating that bigger risks only lead to bigger opportunities for growth. He reminds Yao Kexin that with her S-rank buffs, this is a rare chance they can't afford to pass up. The guard steps aside and wishes them luck, watching as the duo vanishes into the bright white light of the portal. Jiang Yan tosses a wave over his shoulder, accepting the blessing as they step into the unknown together. They find themselves in a dense, glowing forest, but Yao Kexin immediately notices a total lack of any minor monsters. Jiang Yan explains that this isn't a normal dungeon. There are no regular mobs here, only the big boss. The realization hits her like a ton of bricks. They're walking straight into a solo boss fight without any warm-up. A heavy thud suddenly shakes the ground, sending tremors through the gnarled roots and rock beneath their feet. Jiang Yan grips his sword as the mist begins to swirl, sensing the massive presence closing in on their position. Out of the fog emerges a literal mountain of muscle and blue flames, its glowing eyes fixed right on the intruders. Yao Kexin is frozen by the sheer scale of the beast, while Jiang Yan just smiles, finally seeing an opponent worth his time. The Netherflame Boar King snorts, its massive tusks shimmering with a deadly blue aura as it prepares to strike. It lets out a deafening roar that echoes through the forest before launching into a high-speed charge. A status window reveals its terrifying stats, a level 15 beast that burns at 200 degrees Celsius and specializes in a lethal demonic charge. Jiang Yan barks out an order for her to prepare her healing light, and Yao Kexin's angelic wings flare out as she prepares to support him. He doesn't wait to be hit, lunging forward with his blades drawn to seize the initiative before the boar can pick up speed. He kicks off the ground with explosive force, launching himself high into the air as the massive beast thunders past below. Using the momentum of his fall and a rapid mid-air spin, he aims a lethal strike directly at the monster's neck. The Boar King roars in defiance, its glowing eyes tracking the tiny human falling from the sky. His blades connect with a heavy metallic clang, sparks flying as the beast's thick, enchanted hide resists the cut. The boar managed to jump at the last second, avoiding a fatal wound and catching Jiang Yan by surprise with its agility. He lands gracefully, realizing he needs a bigger boost, and he plans to modify his sword while Yao Kexin is distracted by the chaos. His eyes flare with a sharp purple light as he prepares to rewrite the rules of his equipment mid-combat. A digital interface flickers to life, confirming the activation of his divine-tier skill. He targets his weapon, beginning the process of rewriting its fundamental properties. Purple and yellow data fragments swirl around the blade as the modification takes hold. Jiang Yan grips the hilt tightly, feeling the surge of power as the steel begins to glow with an intense light. The sword is completely enveloped in a vibrant, crackling aura. It no longer looks like a simple E-rank blade, but a weapon of legend, vibrating with untapped potential. A status window appears, displaying the results of his work. The cyan steel sword has become an A+ rank imitation of a divine weapon with massive bonuses to attack and agility. Jiang Yan looks at the finished product with a calculating gaze, nodding that even with his god-tier skill, he still can't ignore the basic laws of physics to create something truly divine from nothing. He figures that for their current situation, this upgraded imitation will be more than enough to handle the beast in front of them. With the modified blade in hand, he launches himself forward with newfound speed. His attack power is now 5 times greater than before, and his agility has been pushed to its limit. He strikes with surgical precision, the glowing blade cutting through the air and the monster's neck in a single, fluid motion. He knows the upper hand is now firmly in his grasp. The force of the blow is so immense that one of the Boar King's massive tusks is sheared off, sending shards of bone and blue sparks flying into the misty air. The beast bellows in agony as the mist around it churns violently. From the sidelines, Yao Kexin watches the exchange with wide eyes, struggling to comprehend the display of raw power. Jiang Yan realizes the modification is causing the sword to glitch, as its structural integrity is pushed too far. He quickly prepares to revert the change before his partner notices anything out of the ordinary. Yao Kexin is frozen in shock, her mind racing as she stares at the severed tusk. She can't wrap her head around how an E-rank weapon could possibly cause that much damage to a C-class boss. She looks at Jiang Yan, her expression a mix of awe and confusion. She begins to convince herself that the sword isn't special at all. The incredible feat was purely a result of Jiang Yan's own hidden strength. To her, he looks like a master of combat standing amidst the swirling fog. She thinks that for a dual F-rank student, his techniques must be far superior to those of any top-tier primary combat profession. Jiang Yan can practically see the wheels turning in her head and guesses she's going through some intense mental gymnastics to explain what she just saw. He snaps her back to reality by shouting an order to cast her support skill. He doesn't want her to miss out on the experience points if he finishes the boss with his next strike. Yao Kexin shakes off her daze and raises her staff, her golden wings flaring out behind her. She channels her mana, bathing the battlefield in the brilliant glow of her holy light. The divine radiance cuts through the dark forest as the Boar King, still wreathed in blue flames, prepares for another desperate assault. Jiang Yan watches the beast carefully, a new idea forming in his mind. He realizes that using his modification skill instantly during combat could serve as an effective new attack method. He shifts his grip on the blue-tinted saber in his other hand, wondering if he should try modifying its name next to see what kind of power it can unleash. He considers several legendary-sounding names, like Demon God or Godfall Saber, testing how they feel in his mind. Ultimately, he decides to play it safe for now, fearing that a name too grand might cause the modification to fail or result in a dangerous magical backlash. The Netherflame Boar King lets out an earth-shaking roar as it activates its innate skill. A massive aura of blue fire erupts from its body as it prepares its Netherfire Wild charge. Jiang Yan just gives a confident smirk, seeing this as the perfect opportunity to end the battle once and for all. The ground explodes as the monster lunges, becoming a blurring streak of blue fire that tears through the forest floor toward him. He calmly watches the incoming attack, his mind already selecting the perfect word to dismantle the beast's ultimate move. He glances back at his partner with a grin, telling Yao Kexin to close her eyes for just a moment. Yao Kexin is startled by the sudden request, her eyes wide with concern as she wonders what he's planning to do. He tells her to trust him, claiming that the next part of the fight is going to get far too bloody for her to watch. Choosing to trust his judgment, she squeezes her eyes shut and waits, her heart racing as the sound of the charging monster grows louder. With her vision gone, Jiang Yan raises his hand, his fingers poised to execute the next modification. He activates his skill on the monster's own attack, replacing the word wild in its charge with something far less threatening. A blue notification box appears in the air, confirming that the modification of the boss's skill has been successfully processed. The Boar King's ferocious charge instantly loses all its momentum, its flames flickering out as it slows down to a comical crawl. Jiang Yan mocks the beast, nodding that a slow-moving target is no threat at all. He lunges forward for the killing blow, his blade glowing as he quickly resets its name to hide the evidence of his modification before she opens her eyes. A brilliant white flash cuts across the darkness as he delivers the final, decisive strike. The massive beast collapses into the dirt, the blue flames finally dying out for good. A notification appears, officially declaring the Netherflame Boar King slain. Golden light bathes Jiang Yan as the massive experience reward floods in, pushing his level up to 14. He stands over the fallen boss, his level climbing once more to hit 15. He reflects on the gain, nodding that such a jump is expected when taking down the strongest boss in the rookie base. Beside him, Yao Kexin is nearly overwhelmed by the sudden influx of power, her level jumping 3 times in a row to reach 12. She tentatively asks if it's finally over, still processing the sheer amount of experience she just gained while her eyes were closed. Jiang Yan casually sheathes his swords and starts walking back. He thinks to himself that the bloody scene excuse was the perfect way to keep her from seeing how he actually won. Jiang Yan smiles to himself, satisfied with his choice of companion. He notes that Yao Kexin is obedient, wealthy, and possesses valuable healing skills, truly a rare, high-quality teammate to have in his corner. He glances back at her and tells her she can finally open her eyes. He informs her that the leveling commission she hired him for is now officially complete. Yao Kexin tentatively opens her eyes, the bright light of the forest clearing greeting her as she looks around for the monster. She stares in disbelief at the massive corpse of the Netherflame Boar King lying motionless in the mist. Her mind reels as she realizes he actually managed to defeat the terrifying boss on his own. She stands there, staff in hand and mouth agape, completely awestruck by his performance. She can't wrap her head around how he could slay such a powerful creature completely solo. Jiang Yan begins to walk away, his expression as calm as if he'd just finished a light stroll. He tells her the job is done and suggests they get out of the dungeon before any other monsters arrive. Yao Kexin follows behind him, her gaze fixed on his back. She thinks to herself that he is an exceptionally rare talent, not just for his combat skill, but because he's kind, gentle, and strictly adheres to his contracts. Sensing her intense gaze, Jiang Yan stops and looks over his shoulder with a questioning look. Is something the matter? Yao Kexin steps forward and extends her hands toward him, holding a small item. She tells him that she's providing the promised payment, along with a small extra token of her appreciation for his help. Jiang Yan looks down at the gift and is immediately struck by its appearance. He recognizes the small, glowing band as a spatial ring, an item far more valuable than any simple credit payment. A mental image of a towering, magical crystal appears as he recalls his knowledge of such artifacts. These rings can only be forged using extremely rare crystals infused with continuous space attribute magic. Another vision of floating rings and piles of gold coins flashes through his mind. These items defy the laws of physics, allowing the user to store a vast amount of gear and loot inside a tiny, weightless space. Jiang Yan immediately raises a hand in refusal, shaking his head. He tells her the gift is far too valuable and that he simply cannot accept something of such high worth for a single job. Despite his protest, Yao Kexin keeps her hands extended, her expression determined. Jiang Yan knows that even a basic spatial ring with only 1 cubic meter of storage sells for hundreds of thousands of dollars. She insists that he needs the ring more than she does, pointing out that his help allowed her to gain 2 extra levels beyond what she expected. She considers the ring a well-deserved reward for his service. Jiang Yan looks at the ring again, realizing that having a spatial storage device would be incredibly convenient for the long-term leveling he plans to do in the wilds. Seeing her sincerity, he finally reaches out and accepts the small ring from her hands, his fingers brushing against hers as he takes the payment. He holds the ring up, looking at it with a serious expression. He tells her that to balance the scales for such a generous gift, he will grant her one unconditional favor in the future. The two of them begin the walk back to the city, the forest glowing with faint magical embers around them. Jiang Yan tells her they're done for today and should head back to rest. The city's freshman rankings show Jiang Yu, Jiang Yan's alias, at the top with level 15. The crowd is abuzz, noting the unusually high number of elite combat classes awakened this year. A grand monument in the city center displays the leaderboard for everyone to see. Rumors swirl about Nanrong No 7 High School, which reportedly awakened 3 S-rank combat classes in a single batch. Standing before the monument, Jiang Yan remains grounded despite his current ranking. He knows that his lead is temporary, as those with top-tier classes will soon surpass his level with their superior growth rates. Meet the elite of the new generation, starting with Li Yufeng. He's the top student at Nanrong No. 3 High School who awakened the legendary S-rank sword Saint class and is considered unbeatable in close combat. Then you've got Zhang Hong with his A-rank Blazing Fist and Lu Yuan, an S-rank Gale assassin specializing in high-speed surprise attacks. These are the heavy hitters currently dominating the student rankings. Jiang Yan remembers them all as dazzling figures from his previous life. If he wants to reach the top of the city's rankings again, every one of them is an opponent he'll eventually have to face. He actually looks forward to the challenge this time around. A small smirk plays on his lips as he imagines the day he gets to test his modified skills against them. But fame isn't his immediate priority right now. A glitchy, faded image of his sister flashes through his mind, grounding him in the present. He needs to get home as soon as possible. There's a serious look in his eyes as he thinks about the family he failed to protect during his first life. Back then, he was taken away and exploited by powerful figures, leaving his little sister to grow up entirely on her own. He's determined to make up for that regret now that he's been reborn. Yao Kexin waves a friendly goodbye, already suggesting they run another dungeon together in the future. Jiang Yan gives a simple wave back before turning to head toward the slums. The sun sets over the city, casting a warm glow over the rooftops as birds scatter across the sky. In his previous life, once he left this home, he never found his way back. He walks through the familiar, crowded streets of his old neighborhood. Back then, any news about his sister only reached him through the whispers of strangers and third parties. He knows that in the future, she'll awaken a powerful A-rank combat class of her own. But right now, Jiang Yao is just a young girl struggling to survive in a harsh world. He pushes the door open and steps into their small, quiet apartment. Jiang Yao is right there to greet him, holding his coat and letting him know that dinner is already on the table. A simple meal is set out for them, but the atmosphere remains heavy. She's been withdrawn and quiet like this ever since their parents were lost in the Demon Rift. The two of them sit down for a quiet dinner in their cramped kitchen, the silence between them speaking volumes. The modest setting is a far cry from 3 years ago when their parents were still alive. They were a happy family then, enjoying walks together under a bright, clear sky. But those memories were scorched when tragedy struck. Their parents' deaths hit his sister harder than anyone, leaving a scar that has yet to heal. Jiang Yao takes a small bite of her food before suddenly dropping a bombshell. She tells him she's decided to quit school entirely. Jiang Yan freezes in place, his chopsticks suspended in midair. He looks at her in total disbelief, managing only to ask the single question, why? He reminds her that she's a straight-A student in both her studies and combat training. It makes no sense to quit right before the high school entrance exams are about to start. She looks him in the eye and mentions that she saw his name at the very top of the city's freshman rankings today. She tells him he's destined to be a great awakened who protects the world one day. It sounds like she's already accepted a role in his shadow, sacrificing her own potential for his. Despite her grades, she claims she won't amount to anything anyway in her current state. She looks away, unable to meet his gaze as she speaks. She argues that instead of wasting time at school, she should start working as soon as possible to help support the household. Jiang Yan isn't buying a word of it. He knows she's hiding her real motivation and demands that she tell him the actual truth. Before she can respond, the front door creaks open. The sudden sound interrupts their tense conversation. A middle-aged man peeks his head inside, waving a hand tentatively toward the two siblings at the table. He scratches the back of his head, looking a bit sheepish. Sensing the heavy atmosphere, he asks if he's interrupting and should just come back later. This is Uncle Quan, and he looks completely drained. He sits on their couch with his head in his hand, explaining that his own microloan company is barely staying afloat. Jiang Yan watches him quietly. This man owns the loan company they've been relying on just to keep food on the table. For the past 2 years, they've had to borrow money from him just to cover their basic living expenses and bills. Jiang Yan finally puts the pieces together. Uncle Quan must have come by earlier today, which is exactly why his sister is so desperate to quit school and find a job. Jiang Yao sits there with her head down, looking defeated. She doesn't want her education to be another financial burden that drags her brother down. He realizes she's prepared to sacrifice her entire future and career just to make sure he has enough money to attend university. Jiang Yan stands up and faces the man directly. He asks Uncle Quan exactly how much they've borrowed in total over the last 2 years. Uncle Quan sighs, checking his records while looking sympathetic but desperate. He says it's around 43,000 credits, and that's not even counting the interest. Jiang Yan doesn't blink or hesitate. He pulls out a card and hands it over, telling him there's 50,000 on it. The extra 6,000 is to cover all the interest in one go. The room goes dead silent as the shock sinks in. Uncle Quan looks like he's seen a miracle, and Jiang Yao practically screams, demanding to know where he got that kind of money. Jiang Yan gives his sister a steady, reassuring look. He knows he has some explaining to do, but he's waiting for the outsider to leave before he says a word. Uncle Quan just stares at the card in his hand, completely stunned. He never expected the useless, F-rank student to produce a small fortune and clear the entire debt in a single afternoon. The look on the man's face says it all. The debt that had been crushing this family for years has just vanished in an instant. The man packs up and heads for the door, telling the siblings to reach out if they ever need anything else. Having been paid in full, he's more than happy to play the role of the helpful neighbor. As soon as the door shuts, Jiang Yao turns to her brother with a worried look. She's terrified the money came from something illegal that would make their parents roll in their graves. Jiang Yan just reaches out and pats her head, reassuring her that every cent was earned through his own hard work. He tells her she doesn't have to worry about the family's finances ever again. With a confident smile, he declares that he's on track to become the city's top-ranked freshman. The prize money from those achievements alone is enough to change their lives forever. He tells her there's no reason for her to sacrifice her own education just to put him through college. He's got the path ahead all figured out. Jiang Yao stares up at him, her eyes beginning to shimmer with tears as the weight of her burden finally starts to lift. She can hardly believe her brother has truly turned things around. He pushes the stack of cash toward her, insisting she take it because he has plenty more where that came from. It's time for them to stop living in survival mode. He explains that he's already discovered new ways to generate wealth. He just hasn't had the opportunity to fully exploit them yet. This is just the beginning of their new reality. He tells her to focus entirely on her own studies and training from now on. He's setting a high bar, and he expects her to keep up. With a playful grin, he warns her that the pressure is only going to get worse once he reaches the top. Everyone will know her as the sister of the world's greatest genius, so she better be ready to hold her own. Overwhelmed by his support, Jiang Yao's composure finally breaks. She bites her lip, tears streaming down her face as she looks at the brother who's changed so much. She throws her arms around him, sobbing as she promises never to disgrace the family name. Jiang Yan holds her, silent and steady, knowing the real work is about to begin. As he comforts her, Jiang Yan's mind is already moving toward his next objective. He needs to find a way to level up and make money simultaneously if he wants to secure that top scorer title. His eyes settle on a target outside the city's safe zone, the Nanrong Demon Rift. It's a dangerous place, but it's the perfect environment for someone with his unique skills to grind. Poison Dragon Valley is his specific destination, a high-risk area teeming with potential. It's filled with monsters that will provide the massive experience boost he needs right now. The valley is shrouded in a toxic green mist, a place where many hunters meet their end. But for Jiang Yan, the dense population of monsters makes it the fastest leveling ground available. Rumors circulate about a rare, dragon-type magical beast lurking in the deepest reaches of the valley. Its silhouette is a terrifying reminder of the dangers that wait in the dark. His ultimate goal is to obtain a dragon egg. If he can get his hands on one, his universal grafting skill will finally become active, unlocking a level of power most people can't even dream of. He imagines the possibilities, creating a powerful companion that could change the tide of any battle. The egg is the key to his long-term survival in this world. Even if the egg is out of reach, the valley is a gold mine for magic crystals. Selling those would ensure his sister never has to worry about money for the rest of her life. The decision is made. He's heading out tomorrow. Poison Dragon Valley will be the first major milestone in his conquest of the Demon Rift. The next day, a transport bus pulls up at the Nanrong Demon Rift station. The automated voice reminds passengers to step carefully as they exit into the heavily fortified area. Jiang Yan steps out and looks toward the massive rift entrance, a swirling vortex of red energy. To reach the uncharted wilderness, he has to navigate through the heart of the Rift City first. He enters the inner stronghold of the Nanrong Rift City, a sprawling metropolis built entirely within the rift. It's humanity's primary shield against the constant threat of demonic beast invasions. The city is separated from the real world by a single, massive spatial passage that hums with power. It's a surreal landscape where the sky is a permanent, bloody red. He remembers this place all too well from his past life. Back then, it was overseen by two high-level exalts who forced him to hand over a significant portion of his resources just to operate here. The streets are filled with hunters who have already equipped their most expensive gear. They walk with an air of superiority, ready for the violence that awaits outside the walls. Jiang Yan watches them pass, unimpressed. Compared to the powerful spatial ring he received from Yao Kexin, their high-end armor looks like cheap junk. That girl was clearly in a different league entirely. He navigates through the crowded streets until he reaches the East Gate. Stepping out through here is the fastest route to his target location. He pulls up a map of the surrounding zones, noting the various territories like the Wraith Pool and Mist Valley. Poison Dragon Valley is marked as relatively safe compared to the others, but that's a very loose definition. The monsters in that area typically range from level 13 to 18. For a normal hunter, it's a suicide mission, but for him, it's the sweet spot for rapid progression. He closes the map with a faint smile. Everything is going according to plan. This is exactly where he needs to be to break the game's rules. At the gate, he hands over his student ID for inspection. The official document clearly lists his profession as farmer and tinker, a combination that usually means a death sentence in the wilderness. The guard captain looks at the card, then up at Jiang Yan, his expression a mix of confusion and disbelief. He can't believe a dual F-rank awakened is actually trying to enter the valley alone. Jiang Yan just takes his card back and thanks the man for his concern. He calmly states that he intends to come back alive, showing no sign of the fear the captain expects. The captain's brow furrows as he watches the boy walk toward the gate. He hates seeing young kids throw their lives away, even if their ranking makes them seem insignificant. Determined to stop him, the captain reaches out to grab the boy's shoulder. He's about to physically bar the way when another guard suddenly intervenes, stopping him in his tracks. The second guard recognizes the kid immediately. He tells the captain to let him go, explaining that this isn't just any F rank. This is the student who completely shattered the profession gap. He continues, listing off Jiang Yan's recent feats, setting a new solo record at the training base and ranking first in both academics and combat. This kid is a local legend in the making. The captain stands there, stunned, as he watches the boys back. He can't wrap his head around how someone with a dual F rank could possibly be that powerful. It defies every logic the world is built on. Even the most gifted S-rank students from previous years haven't come close to matching the records this farmer has already set. Ignoring the shocked guards behind him, Jiang Yan walks through the glowing green portal. He steps directly into the heart of Poison Dragon Valley, where the real hunt begins. Jiang Yan notes the pervasive toxic gas of Poison Dragon Valley, an environmental hazard that makes every step dangerous. For a solo hunter, this atmosphere is just as lethal as the monsters. He pops an antidote pill, noting they cost $50 each and only last 3 hours. He's completely broke right now, so he has to make every second count before the protection wears off. A poison-winged lizard drops from the trees, its red eyes glowing as it shrieks a challenge. This level 13 beast is a common threat in the valley. He meets the charge with a precise blue energy slash, slicing through the creature as it lunges. The blue light of his blade carves a clean arc through the mist. He moves through the woods, taking down more lizards in rapid succession. The experience starts pouring in, with his level progression jumping significantly with every kill. He's satisfied with the results, noting that wilderness mobs are built different than the ones in the training grounds. This is exactly the kind of efficiency he was looking for. To speed things up even further, he decides to activate his Modify skill. His expression hardens as he prepares to break the rules of his own equipment. He turns his back on the path and holds his sword ready. The air around the blade ripples with digital artifacts as his power takes hold. A notification confirms the change. His cyan steel sword has been modified into a cyan steel sword. With a single letter change, he's ready to begin the real hunt. He plunges into a group of beasts, his blade glowing with an intense blue light as he unleashes a flurry of slashes. The modified sword carves through the pack like they're nothing. The level-ups hit one after another as he clears the area of lizards. He reaches level 16 in no time, his stats surging with the newfound power. He continues the massacre against larger groups of carrion poison toads and rotbats. By the time he finishes the clearing, he's already hit level 18. Exhausted but successful, he takes a break to drink some water, leaning against his sword. The toxic mist swirls around him, but the antidote pill is still holding strong. He sighs, frustrated that despite the mass slaughter, not a single mana crystal has dropped. His luck today is feeling absolutely garbage. Suddenly, a voice from behind asks if he was the one who killed all the monsters. He looks over his shoulder, his guard instantly up at the unexpected presence. 2 figures approach through the mist, staring at the pile of monster corpses he left behind. They seem genuinely shocked by the level of carnage a single hunter could cause. Standing before him is Lu Yuan ***, a tall and pale S-rank student with dark blue hair and a sharp gaze. He's the eldest young master of the Lu family and one of the city's top-ranked Gale assassins. Beside him is Liu Tao ***, an aggressive lackey with tan skin and brown hair tied back in a ponytail. Wearing a purple and white vest, he glares at Jiang Yan with an indignant expression. Jiang Yan stands up and looks them over, coolly asking if they were expecting someone else to have done the killing. He isn't intimidated by their gear or their rank. Liu Tao *** immediately bristles at his dismissive tone, yelling to ask if Jiang Yan has any idea who he's talking to. He's clearly used to people bowing to his boss's reputation. Lu Yuan stops his lackey, admitting he's impressed by Jiang Yan's skills and offering him a chance to team up. He recognizes the raw talent hiding behind the low rank. Jiang Yan doesn't even hesitate, telling them he isn't interested and walking away. He thinks to himself that they just want to leech his experience for free. Liu Tao is ready to explode, asking why they didn't just teach the arrogant kid a lesson right then and there. He can't stand being ignored by someone he considers trash. Lu Yuan watches Jiang Yan leave, his eyes glowing with a faint purple light as he acknowledges the boy's potential. He tells his lackey to wait, promising he'll give him a chance to make a move the next time they meet. Liu Tao slams his fists together, vowing to beat the dual F-rank so hard he'll be looking for his teeth on the forest floor. His arrogance is only matched by his short temper. An hour later, Jiang Yan is still pushing through the dense, toxic trees. He has one antidote pill left and wants to hit level 19 before the timer runs out. He walks through the clearing, the green mist swirling around his ankles as he searches for more targets. The silence of the woods is unsettling. He's disappointed that he hasn't seen any trace of a rare monster yet. He was hoping for a bigger challenge to speed up his leveling. He recalls the rumors of a powerful dragon-type demonic beast lurking in this valley. So far, the reality hasn't lived up to the hype. Suddenly, he senses movement behind him and spins around, his eyes wide as red danger markers flash in his vision. A sneak attack is coming from the shadows. A massive, bumpy purple tongue lashes out from the mist, aimed directly at him. He barely manages to leap back in time to avoid the strike. He brings his sword down to block the second strike, but the impact is heavier than he expected. He grunts as the shock travels up his arms, knotting the monster's incredible defense. His cyan steel sword didn't even cut through the surface. He realizes he's up against something far stronger than the common mobs he's been farming. A massive, hulking shadow rises from the mist in front of him, looming over the trees. The ground shakes as the creature moves. The Miasma Demon Toad King reveals itself, a level 20 boss tier monster. It's a massive purple creature with yellow eyes and lethal innate skills like mutated toad skin and bone-rotting venom. The heavy, webbed feet of the beast slam into the grass, each toe tipped with a sharp claw. The size of the thing is staggering. Instead of being afraid, Jiang Yan lets out a sharp grin. He's finally found a boss, and he intends to claim his first mana crystal of the day from its corpse. The Toad King lashes out with its giant tongue snare, the long purple limb whipping through the air with incredible force. The ground is torn up as the muscle hits. The tongue moves with blinding speed, wrapping around Jiang Yan from multiple angles. It's a complex attack designed to trap and crush the target instantly. He remains calm, his eyes glowing as he analyzes the attack pattern. He's already figured out exactly how to break the skill and turn the tide of the battle. He activates Modify, targeting the enemy's innate skill directly. A digital ripple spreads out as he changes the giant tongue snare into a giant tongue snarl. The massive tongue suddenly twists and knots itself into a tangled mess. The Toad King is left staring in confusion, its primary weapon now completely useless and tied up in its own mouth. Jiang Yan leaps into the air, taking advantage of the moment while the beast's tongue is still tangled. He raises his sword high, determined to end the fight with one decisive strike to the head. His blade slams into the skull of the Miasma Demon Toad King, throwing off a shower of sparks upon impact. The monster's skin is far tougher than any ordinary creature he's faced before, resisting the edge of his steel. Jiang Yan's eyes widen in shock as his blade fails to penetrate the thick hide. He realizes with a start that he can't break through the creature's natural defense with his current power level. The Miasma Demon Toad King activates its mutated toad skin skill, causing its purple hide to glow with an eerie blue light. A system notification confirms that its defense has been significantly increased, making it virtually invulnerable. To make matters worse, a system alert appears. The modification on the toad's tongue has expired. Because the target's level exceeds his own, the effect was far shorter than he anticipated. The knotted tongue instantly reverts to its original giant tongue snare form as the digital artifacts fade away. Jiang Yan grits his teeth, realizing the timing couldn't have been worse for the skill to fail. He lands back on the ground and creates some distance, reflecting on the major drawback of using Modify on high-level enemies. At his current level, he simply can't maintain the effects for long. He knows that fighting targets above his level causes the duration of his modifications to be drastically reduced. If his luck is bad, the skill might even fail entirely, leaving him completely exposed in the middle of a fight. The Toad King doesn't give him a moment to recover, lashing out with its tongue again in a rapid pink blur. The prehensile muscle whips through the air, forcing Jiang Yan to stay on the move. Jiang Yan stands his ground as the tongue looms overhead, the blue energy of his sword ready for one last effort. He realizes he'll have to make a massive gamble if he wants to win this encounter. A sharp, confident grin spreads across his face as he prepares his next move. He isn't out of tricks yet, and he's willing to risk everything on a dangerous modification. He focuses his energy into his ring, the blue glow of his skill intensifying as he targets the Demonfall saber. He prepares to rewrite the fundamental nature of his own weapon. The sword is engulfed in a chaotic storm of colorful digital artifacts, warping its shape as the modification takes hold. The air around the blade crackles with raw, unbridled power. The transformation is complete. The Demonfall saber has been modified into the Demon King saber. Intense red energy erupts from the blade, staining the surrounding mist a deep, bloody crimson. Jiang Yan grips the new weapon as a massive red eye opens on the hilt, staring at the world with pure, ancient malice. Dark, swirling energy surrounds him like a violent hurricane. The system identifies the weapon as the Demon King blade, which contains the will of the seventh Demon King, Blood Spirit Asura. It possesses overwhelming nether demonic energy, but grants an uncontrollable berserk power that threatens to consume the wielder. Jiang Yan struggles to maintain his composure as the sword's weight and malevolent aura threaten to overwhelm his mind. He knows he needs to kill the Demon Toad King fast before he loses himself to the blade. He lunges forward, swinging the crimson blade in a wide arc. "Take my blade!" he shouts, the energy from the strike carving a bright red path through the darkness. A colossal pillar of red and white energy erupts from the impact, obliterating the miasma Demon Toad King in an instant. The monster is reduced to nothing but dust by the terrifying power of the Demon King. The explosion clears, leaving a massive crater in the forest floor as Jiang Yan drops to one knee. He gasps for air, his body trembling from the sudden and absolute drain of his stamina. He realizes with a start that a single strike with the Demon King blade took everything he had. He's completely vulnerable, his strength spent in that one overwhelming moment of violence. He looks down at his hand and sees red, vine-like veins crawling from the sword up his arm. The cursed weapon is actively eroding his body, feeding on his remaining life force. He struggles to reach out and activate Modify to reverse the change, but his vision is swimming. He can barely keep his eyes open as the dark energy continues to spread. Jiang Yan collapses completely, his face pressed into the dirt as his strength fails him. He's out of stamina and can no longer use his powers to defend himself. A booming, arrogant voice echoes in his mind, mocking his human fragility. The seventh Demon King Blood Spirit Asura speaks through the blade, demanding a heavy price for the power he dared to borrow. The Demon King's presence manifests as a giant, singular eye surrounded by swirling red and black energy. It treats Jiang Yan like a lowly insect, laughing at his desperate state. The spirit boasts that even if its true body cannot descend into this world, its essence is still enough to enslave the human race. The red aura intensifies, flooding Jiang Yan's vision with malice. The Demon King claims that 1/10 of its power is sufficient to destroy human civilization. It intends to use Jiang Yan's body as a vessel to reclaim its ancient glory. Despite his exhaustion, Jiang Yan forces himself to focus, a blue digital glow appearing on his forehead. He tells the entity that he already expected this betrayal and has a plan to deal with it. He recalls that this isn't the first time he's had to modify a Demon King's weapon. He pulls out his original sword and prepares to strike at the consciousness dwelling within the cursed blade. He unleashes a concentrated burst of blue modification energy directly into the eye on the Demon King blade's hilt. The digital ripples clash with the red demonic aura in a violent explosion of light. The red energy is forcefully suppressed, the demonic aura being sucked back into the sword as the eye is struck. The chaotic energy storm starts to subside as Jiang Yan's power takes hold. The seventh Demon King Blood Spirit Asura lets out a final, distorted roar as its presence is silenced. It vows to return and tear Jiang Yan to pieces, but its voice is cut short as the connection is severed. The red energy is sealed back into the blade, leaving only a faint, harmless glow behind. The forest is once again silent, the threat of the Demon King temporarily averted. Jiang Yan lies in the crater, gasping for air as the red veins on his arm slowly retreat. He's managed to survive the erosion by the narrowest of margins. He notes that once he pierced the consciousness vessel accidentally summoned into the blade, the erosion stopped. His gamble paid off, but it came at a staggering physical cost. He decides to rest until his stamina recovers enough to change the sword's name back to normal. He knows he can't risk keeping it in its current form for a moment longer than necessary. He sits against a rock, reflecting on his previous life and the similar disasters he faced with his modify skill. He's seen this kind of power before, and he knows how dangerous it is. He recalls a time when the ninth Demon King Thunder Spirit Calamitibing descended through a similar modification accident. In his memory, a massive, shadowy figure with a single glowing eye loomed over a Gothic cathedral. That incident was far more lethal than this one, requiring a guardian general above level 80 to step in and save the city. The memory serves as a grim warning of what can happen when his power goes out of control. He looks at the Demon King blade, realizing that attacking the consciousness vessel within the weapon is the only true way to subdue such ancient entities. It's a secret he learned through bitter experience. He stares into the mist, wondering if these terrifying beings are truly just creatures from the Demon Rift, or if they represent something much older and more dangerous. The mystery remains as he waits for his strength to return. Jiang Yan looks down at the cursed blade, the red veins on his arm still a grim reminder of the power he unleashed. He wonders if these Demon Kings originate from a world even more horrifying than his own. After catching his breath, he decides he's rested enough to gather his spoils. He activates Modify, safely reverting the Demon King blade back into the Demonfall blade as a digital aura surrounds the steel. He walks toward the center of the clearing where the boss fell, eager to see if his struggle was truly worth the risk. He notes that for a boss of this caliber, the rewards should be significant. A large, glowing purple crystal floats amidst the dissipating miasma. He identifies it as a level 20 boss magic crystal, a rare and valuable reward that pulses with intense energy. A genuine smile spreads across his face as he contemplates the wealth he's just acquired. He estimates the market value to be at least 100,000, realizing he's finally struck it rich. He uses his abilities to collect the massive corpse of the Demon Toad King and the other monsters he defeated earlier. These remains are filled with premium materials that are sure to fetch a handsome price in the city. He turns his attention to his next move, deciding that the official market won't offer a fair enough profit for such high-quality loot. He plans to head for the underground black market in Nanrong City instead. As he prepares to depart, a series of system windows appear, notifying him of his victory. He receives massive experience rewards for slaying both the Miasma Demon Toad King and an unknown creature. His level jumps from 18 to 20 in an instant, a significant boost for a single day of hunting. He realizes the unknown creature reward must have come from suppressing the consciousness of the blood spirit Asura. He ponders a potential loop, summoning these entities, defeating them, and gaining massive experience to grind all the way to level 100 on the spot. A diagram representing the summon-loop-summon cycle appears in his mind. However, he sees a terrifying vision of a giant red eye looming over his home city. He understands that if he ever loses control of such a summon, the entire civilization could be annihilated along with him. His expression hardens with caution as he decides not to take such an unnecessary risk. He knows the weight of the power he wields and the devastating consequences of its misuse. He recalls that reaching every 10th level grants him a new innate skill. He opens his status to see what new abilities he's awakened at level 20, his curiosity piqued. A large blue system window lists his new skills: the extra innate skill disassembly and the farmer innate skill pest immunity. He reads through their detailed effects and requirements. He is pleased with the new additions, especially disassembly, which he identifies as an excellent tool for generating wealth from raw materials. It offers a chance to double his rewards through reward critical. He turns his attention to pest immunity, his mind already racing with the possibilities of his modification skill. He realizes he can transform it into the divine skill damage immunity by changing just a single character in its name. While a skill as powerful as damage immunity is bound to have many restrictions, he knows it will be an invaluable asset in life or death situations. He considers how to best utilize this potential power. With his new level, skills, and loot secured, Jiang Yan turns and leaps away from the clearing. He leaves the poisoned Dragon Valley behind, heading back toward the city to prepare for his next move. Something is lurking in the trees above. A shadowy figure watches from the branches, hidden by the thick foliage. Jiang Yan spots the observer immediately. He recognizes the guy as a lackey for the young master, Lu Yuan. A hand grips a dagger, ready to strike from the shadows. Liu Tao jumps down and reveals himself, identifying as a level 17 assassin. He mocks Jiang Yan for being a dual F-rank trash before closing in. The assassin blurs into motion as he prepares to attack. He lunges forward with his daggers drawn, activating extreme speed. The skill boosts his agility by 30% as he tries to overwhelm the F-rank recruit. Liu Tao grins, convinced he's already won the fight. He can't imagine a low-rank recruit keeping up with a primary combat class. Jiang Yan finds the whole display boring. He stands his ground, completely unfazed by the sudden burst of speed. A bright flash of steel cuts through the air as a counterstrike connects. Liu Tao is thrown back, coughing up blood as a deep gash opens across his chest. He never even saw the blade move. Shaking and confused, Liu Tao can't understand how he was outpaced. He realizes Jiang Yan just pulled a high-quality sword from an expensive spatial ring. Jiang Yan walks through the glowing motes of energy, looking completely bored by the ambush. He looks down at the fallen assassin and asks if he really thought his class rank made him invincible. He explains that training, stats, and awareness are what actually dictate the outcome of a battle. Standing over the wounded man, Jiang Yan makes it clear that Liu Tao isn't even qualified to fight him. He comments that maybe things would be different if the assassin's master showed up instead. A purple projectile streaks through the air, slicing a falling leaf in half. Jiang Yan looks up just as the new challenger arrives. Speak of the devil. Lu Yuan drops from the trees with a heavy overhead strike. Jiang Yan blocks the blow, their weapons clashing in a spray of sparks. The S-rank student leans into the clash, complimenting the quality of Jiang Yan's sword. Jiang Yan smiles back, acknowledging that Lu Yuan's blade is also quite impressive. They both leap back, creating some space as they stare each other down in the mist. Lu Yuan isn't there for a chat. He wants to test the strength of the guy ranked number 1 among the freshmen. Jiang Yan figures the guy is just salty about the rankings and is looking for a reason to fight. Since a simple duel is a waste of time, Jiang Yan proposes a wager. The loser has to hand over their weapon. Lu Yuan accepts the bet instantly. He activates his S-rank Gale Cloak, which pumps his agility up by a massive 80%. Jiang Yan rests his sword on his shoulder, already thinking about the new addition to his treasury. Lu Yuan lunges forward, convinced his S-rank class makes him the fastest alive. He's betting everything on speed to end this quickly. A blur of purple energy trails his strikes as he rains down a rapid-fire assault. Jiang Yan barely holds his ground, parrying the blades with his own sword. Sparks fly with every collision as Jiang Yan realizes just how intense an S-rank speedster can be. He's being pushed to his absolute limit just to stay in the rhythm. From the sidelines, a spectator student cheers wildly for Lu Yuan to finish it. He's clearly enjoying what looks like a totally one-sided beatdown. Lu Yuan smirks, mocking the idea that an F-rank could ever compete with him. To him, ranks are the only thing that matters in a fight. He pours everything into a single, decisive strike, aiming to end the duel then and there. The purple energy around his dagger pulses with lethal intent. A spray of red paints the air as a hit finally connects. Someone's blood is drawn in the blink of an eye. It turns out Jiang Yan had blocked Lu Yuan's attack with his bare hands just before it struck. Lu Yuan stumbled back, his eyes wide with shock as he realized just how insane his opponent was. Jiang Yan, however, remained cold and composed, simply saying, "Got it." Jiang Yan swung his sword with a cold smirk on his lips, while his other hand kept a firm grip on Lu Yuan's weapon. Lu Yuan realizes that Jiang Yan never actually tried to match his speed. He was baiting him into a trade from the very beginning. The frustration turns into a dark curiosity as Lu Yuan stares him down. He's finally found someone who makes things a bit more interesting. Lu Yuan had to admit that his opponent was willing to take a hit just to stay in the fight, a calculated trade-off to minimize his own losses. Jiang Yan was playing for survival, not for style points. Jiang Yan pointed out the obvious. Lu Yuan was now weaponless after losing his blade in the clash. He watched from a rocky outcrop, scanning for the next opening. Jiang Yan wondered, how exactly is an assassin with no weapons supposed to take down his opponent now? He casually tossed his daggers into the air, mocking his unarmed opponent and wanting to see how Lu Yuan would continue the fight. But Lu Yuan didn't panic at all, pulling out even more daggers from his storage space. A guy like him always has a backup plan ready to go. Jiang Yan watches him, noting Lu Yuan's background as a young master from a powerful family. Even a B-rank weapon is just a disposable tool to a rich kid like this. He tightens his grip on his sword, determined to take down the so-called genius. The prospect of winning this fight is only getting more satisfying. Lu Yuan crosses his arms as a massive surge of purple mana erupts around him. He's preparing to show off a skill no one else in their year has seen. His eyes glow with a piercing purple light as he locks onto his target. The atmosphere shifts as he prepares to go all out. A system notification reveals his trump card, Gale Cleaving Slash, a wind element skill designed for maximum destruction. With a violent swing, he unleashes the skill, sending massive X-shaped wind blades tearing through the air. The force of it is enough to level anything in its path. Jiang Yan dives out of the way just as the blades shred through the trees behind him. He knows he can't afford to take a direct hit from that much power. He sprints into the deeper part of the forest, using the dense foliage as cover. He needs to break Lu Yuan's line of sight to stay alive. The wind blades follow him, carving through the forest like it's made of paper. Lu Yuan is monstrously strong, and he's not holding back one bit. Jiang Yan notices that the ranged attacks are slightly slower than the close-quarters strikes. He guesses that launching this much energy must be draining Lu Yuan's stamina. He ducks behind a tree, looking for a chance to strike back. His only hope of winning is to find an opening for a single, fatal blow. Lu Yuan leaps onto a high branch, scanning the area with his daggers drawn. He's hunting Jiang Yan through the green-tinted woods. He acknowledges that hiding was a wise move, but he's not planning to play hide and seek for long. He's looking for any sign of movement. Purple energy crackles around him again as he prepares to flush out his prey. He's done being patient. He lets out another massive gale-cleaving slash, aiming to clear the entire area. The sheer scale of the attack is terrifying. The wind blades rip through the forest, leaving nothing but debris in their wake. It's a complete scorched earth tactic to force Jiang Yan out. Lu Yuan stands in the center of the destruction, looking around for his opponent. The trees are gone, but there's no sign of a body. A cold sweat breaks out on his face as he realizes Jiang Yan has completely vanished from his sight. The hunter has lost his trail. A dark shadow suddenly looms over him from behind. He feels the presence too late as the trap is finally sprung. He spins around in a panic, slashing at the shadow with everything he's got. He thinks he's finally caught his man. His blade cuts clean through a tree stump that was tossed into the air as a decoy. He fell for the oldest trick in the book. Lu Yuan's jaw drops as he realizes it was a feint. The realization of his mistake hits him instantly. Jiang Yan appears from the side, leaping through the air with his sword at the ready. He baited the attack, and now he's got the perfect opening. With a fierce swing, Jiang Yan brings his blade down on the shocked S-ranker. He's proven that an F-rank can push an elite to the brink. Lu Yuan can only stare in disbelief as the strike closes in. He can't wrap his head around how an F-rank managed to outplay him using nothing but the environment. Lu Yuan is confident, thinking no matter how strong Jiang Yan is, he's still just an F-rank. He's betting on his S-rank status to carry him to a win. He deploys his Gale Ring shield, a swirling vortex of purple energy meant to repel any attack. Jiang Yan doesn't hesitate, slamming his sword directly into the center of the barrier. Jiang Yan grits his teeth as the impact vibrates through his arms. He realizes Lu Yuan's innate skill is far tougher than he expected, especially for someone who just hit level 20. But he isn't giving up, pouring his mana into the cyan steel sword to force his way through. The purple mana swirls violently as the two powers clash. Cracks begin to form in the supposedly invincible shield as the pressure mounts. The energy of the clash is so intense it starts to warp the space around them. With a final, explosive surge, Jiang Yan shatters the Gale Ring shield into millions of glowing fragments. He warns Lu Yuan that even an S-rank defense won't save him from this much raw power. The force of the explosion sends a shockwave through the clearing, flattening trees, and kicking up a massive cloud of dust. Jiang Yan stands tall as the wind dies down, his sword still at the ready. He watches the aftermath of his strike, waiting for any sign of a counterattack. He wonders if he should press the advantage and finish the fight right now, but he quickly realizes that this isn't a duel to the death. He thinks back to his previous life, remembering that Lu Yuan wasn't actually a bad person. He was a leader who stood on the front lines against the monster invasion. Across the clearing, Lu Yuan is hunched over and coughing, the toll of the shattered shield and the duel weighing heavily on him. He's exhausted and wounded, but his fighting spirit isn't completely gone. He's already planning a point-blank wind blade attack if Jiang Yan gets any closer. He sits in the middle of the crater he made, struggling to process what just happened. He can't believe an F-rank pushed him into such a desperate situation. The realization hits him that rank might not determine everything after all. He stares at the ground, his pride taking a serious hit from this defeat. He looks up just in time to see Jiang Yan's silhouette approaching through the fatting mist. He tightens his grip on his dagger, ready for one last stand. He's visibly tense, his eyes tracking every movement as Jiang Yan stops just a few feet away. The air is thick with the scent of ozone and freshly cut wood. But instead of a finishing blow, Jiang Yan extends his hand toward his fallen rival. The gesture is completely unexpected. Lu Yuan stares at the open palm in pure confusion, his guard finally dropping as he tries to figure out what his opponent is doing. Jiang Yan gives him a small, respectful smile and declares the match a draw. He genuinely acknowledges Lu Yuan's strength, surprising everyone present. Lu Yuan is left speechless, unable to comprehend why someone who clearly had the upper hand would offer a stalemate. Jiang Yan explains that Lu Yuan is an opponent worthy of his respect. To him, this match doesn't need a winner or a loser to be meaningful. Lu Yuan sees the look of genuine acknowledgement in Jiang Yan's eyes. He realizes for the first time that this F-rank never once looked down on him. A faint smile crosses his face as he accepts the lesson. He admits there's always someone stronger out there, no matter how high your mountain is. He reaches out and firmly shakes Jiang Yan's hand, cementing a newfound respect between them. He promises that next time, he'll be the one who wins when they face off at the Freshman Top 100 tournament. He's already looking forward to their rematch. Jiang Yan encourages him to work even harder to get stronger. He jokes that if he doesn't, he might lose the right to even call himself a rival. Suddenly, the spectator student in the purple shirt rushes over, yelling at Jiang Yan for injuring his Yunji. He's ready to start a fight of his own to defend his friend's honor. Lu Yuan quickly shuts him down with a cold glare, ordering him to show Jiang Yan the same respect he shows him. The student immediately backs off, terrified. As they turn to leave, Lu Yuan looks back one last time with a determined expression. He's absolutely committed to going all out the next time they meet. Jiang Yan watches them disappear into the distance, the clearing finally falling silent. The duel is over, but he's left with a lot to think about. He notes that things might have gone differently if he'd really gone all out from the start. He's keeping his true potential hidden for now. He turns his attention to his skills, realizing that his modified Typhoon Slash has opened up a lot more possibilities for his combat style. He scratches the back of his head, feeling a bit let down that he fought that whole battle and walked away with absolutely zero loot. He lets out a heavy sigh, realizing it feels like he worked for nothing. The life of a hunter is tough when your biggest scores are draws. But his disappointment is cut short when he spots something glowing in the distance. He stops and peers into the woods, wondering what it could be. It looks like Lu Yuan's massive slash revealed something that was originally hidden behind the trees. A strange, swirling energy is pulsing in the distance. He realizes it's a special kind of toxic gas and decides to go check it out. He's half hoping he'll run into another boss-level monster to make the trip worth it. He pulls up his modification menu and starts working his magic. He swaps immunity to harm for a much more specialized immunity to poison. The system confirms the new skill, immunity to poison level 1. It gives him 20 minutes of protection, which should be more than enough for a quick scout. He feels the new power take hold, a faint yellow aura surrounding his body. Now he won't have to worry about the toxic mist for a while. He walks toward the edge of a massive cliff, looking down into the source of the mist. He wonders what exactly is hiding inside that strange green cloud. At the center of the lake below, a massive crystalline structure towers into the air. The emerald energy emanating from it is unlike anything he's seen before. Jiang Yan stands at the edge of a massive pit, looking down into the swirling green depths. He notes that it looks like a poisonous lake, the air thick with toxic energy. He wonders if the legendary poison dragon could truly be residing in these depths. A silhouette of the massive beast looms in his mind as he assesses the danger. Without hesitation, he dives into the shimmering green water. A large splash marks his entry as he descends into the unknown. He swims deeper, bubbles trailing behind him in the murky water. He notices only small, low-level monsters nearby and dismisses them as worthless. Suddenly, a massive shadow looms behind him, a single glowing red eye peering through the darkness. The sheer scale of the creature is daunting compared to the small prey from before. An ice-armored crocodile lunges from the depths, its massive jaws open wide to snap him up. The system identifies it as a level 18 creature, a significant threat in this environment. Jiang Yan narrowly avoids the initial snap, twisting his body in the water as bubbles erupt around him. He remains calm, realizing a big one has finally shown itself. He prepares to strike back, his eyes narrowing as he faces the beast head-on. He decides to make the most of the encounter since the crocodile came right to him. With a swift underwater motion, Jiang Yan thrust his sword straight at the monster, with a force strong enough to ripple the water. The system confirms his success as the armor break effect activates on the creature. A bright burst of energy marks the spot where his blade pierces the crocodile's defenses. The ice-armored crocodile is defeated, its body floating lifelessly in the green water. Jiang Yan realizes the beast is far too large to fit inside his storage ring as it is. He decides this is the perfect opportunity to test out his newly acquired dismantle skill. He floats before the massive carcass, ready to break it down. A blue system window appears, detailing the effects of dismantle level 1. It explains that he can break down items below level 10 for materials, with a small chance of a critical hit. Jiang Yan extends his hand and activates the skill, his palm glowing with digital energy. Blue cubes begin to emerge from the crocodile's body as the process starts. The entire carcass begins to dissolve into a swarm of blue geometric fragments. The underwater scene is filled with the glowing data-like blocks as the beast is processed. A blinding flash of white light signals the completion of the dismantling process. The massive body is gone, replaced by a shower of items. 3 separate windows display the loot: E-grade crocodile bone, E-grade crocodile flesh, and D-grade ice-armored crocodile hide. The hide is noted as an excellent material for crafting ice-resistant gear. Jiang Yan collects the hide, satisfied with the haul. He considers it a decent take for a quick underwater skirmish. He pauses, his expression turning serious as he senses a shift in the current. Something even more powerful is radiating from deeper within the lake. He realizes he has unknowingly drifted very close to the primary source of the toxic mist. A massive, glowing green cavern opens up before him in the depths. Driven by curiosity, he dives further into the glowing abyss to see what lies at the heart of the toxin. The light from the cave illuminates his path as he swims. He enters a vast underwater chamber filled with luminous crystals and dense green energy. The entire terrain is warped and glowing from the extreme concentration of poison. He observes the strange, jagged rock formations, marveling at how the toxins have reshaped the environment. He wonders if his luck is truly this good to find such a place. Standing on a rocky outcrop, he looks up at the massive structures around him. The water in this chamber is saturated with a lethal emerald glow. Jiang Yan peers around a large crystal pillar, his eyes widening in shock. He has found exactly what he was looking for. A massive poison dragon lies coiled in the center of the chamber, guarding a clutch of eggs. The system identifies it as a level 43 female in its growth stage. He is stunned to see a creature already at level 43 while still maturing and laying eggs. He knows this legendary beast is a force of nature. He recognizes its potential, noting that a fully mature specimen could easily reach level 70. Its presence explains why this area is so incredibly dangerous. His gaze shifts to the glowing dragon eggs nestled in the rocks. He thinks about how his grafting skill could reach new heights with materials like these. He decides to bide his time and wait for a chance to steal the eggs. To him, this would be the ultimate revenge for the lives lost to this beast in his past. Suddenly, the water begins to churn violently above the nesting area. A massive shockwave ripples through the chamber, putting him on high alert. Jiang Yan tenses up, looking around frantically for the source of the commotion. He fears he might have been spotted by something else. A second, even larger poison dragon descends from the shadows, carrying a slaughtered boar in its claws. The massive wings displace huge amounts of water as it lands. He realizes there is a male dragon as well, making the situation twice as deadly. He huddles behind a rock, trying to remain completely invisible. He watches the two legendary beasts from his hiding spot, the emerald light reflecting in his eyes. He admits it's far too dangerous to engage them right now and decides to retreat. Returning to the surface, he looks out over the landscape with a renewed sense of purpose. Finding the nest has given him a concrete target to work toward. He wipes the sweat from his face, a determined smile playing on his lips. He is fully committed to getting stronger so he can claim those dragon eggs. He envisions a future where he stands atop a massive dragon, looking down on those who doubted him. He vows that the people of Nanliu City will never look down on him again. Jiang Yan walks away from the toxic lake, his clothes still damp but his mind clear. He decides his first priority is heading to the black market to liquidate his new materials. The scene shifts to the bustling skyline of the Nanliu City underground black market at sunset. The massive, tiered structure is a maze of neon signs and crowded walkways. He enters the market, nodding the rumors of a level 60 grandmaster who maintains order in this lawless place. The streets are filled with shady individuals and exotic goods. He walks past a display of dark-bladed swords, keeping a low profile as he navigates the crowd. He knows that as long as he avoids trouble, the black market is the best place to do business. Jiang Yan walks through the bustling market, noting that the authorities don't bother interfering in such a lawless place. He reflects on how the market's convenience often serves to cover up a great deal of evil. He stops before the entrance of a shop named Jinyu Pavilion. From his memories of a past life, he knows this is the most reliable establishment in the entire black market. Inside, he encounters Jinyu Asterisk, an elegant and seductive woman in a purple dress and fur shawl who lounges behind the counter while smoking a long pipe. She projects an aura of relaxed confidence as she manages her business. Two men, including a rough-looking combatant in a brown coat named Liu Dale Asterisk, are hunched over the counter trying to haggle for a better price on their sack of goods. They plead with the owner to go a little higher, claiming they worked hard to acquire the items. Jinyu remains unmoved, coolly stating that her offer is already the highest on the street. She bluntly tells the men that they are free to leave if they don't want to sell at her price. She then shifts her attention to Jiang Yan, looking him over with a hint of skepticism. She asks if a high schooler like him truly has something worth selling in a place like this. Liu Dalei and his partner turn around to mock Jiang Yan, laughing at his plain clothes and questioning what he could possibly have that's worth anything. Their expressions are filled with arrogant disdain for the young student. Liu Dalei points a gloved finger at Jiang Yan's face, aggressively advising him to get lost and stop wasting their time. He seems intent on bullying the boy out of the shop. Jiang Yan remains perfectly calm, raising his hand to show a glowing blue ring on his finger. A faint hum of magical energy emanates from the expensive accessory. The two men are paralyzed with shock, their mouths hanging open as they recognize the storage ring. They can't comprehend how a student could afford something so incredibly valuable. With a dismissive look, Jiang Yan extends his hand and activates the ring to unload his collection. A bright blue light erupts from the stone, signaling the release of stored items. A massive haul of rare materials, ice-armored crocodile scales, hide, bones, and claws, piles up on the counter in a flurry of digital fragments. The sheer volume of the high-level loot is staggering. Liu Dalei and his companion gape in disbelief, their eyes nearly popping out of their heads at the sight of the incredible display of wealth. They are completely overwhelmed by the quality of the materials Jiang Yan has produced. Even Qin Yu is visibly shaken, her professional composure cracking as she realizes the hide came from an ice-armored crocodile. She deduces that Jiang Yan must have survived a journey to the deepest part of the Poison Valley. Jiang Yan adds one final item to the pile, a radiant purple gemstone that pulses with intense magical power. He holds it out casually, as if it were a common pebble. The two men are nearly driven to madness by the sight, shouting that it's an actual magic crystal. The gemstone's purple aura casts a deep glow over their terrified and greedy faces. Qin Yu stares intently at Jiang Yan, her mind racing as she tries to figure out the true identity of this mysterious and powerful young man. The initial boredom in her eyes has been replaced by deep respect. Unfazed by the commotion, Jiang Yan looks directly at her and asks for a total valuation of everything he's brought. He speaks with a steady, commanding tone that belies his youthful appearance. He flashes a smug smile at the two stunned men, telling them to hurry up so he can finish his business. He mockingly uses their own words against them, asking if he's holding up their important deal. The negotiation moves to the Jinyu Pavilion VIP room, a lavishly decorated space where Qin Yu offers him 78,500 for the monster parts. She adds that the magic crystal alone is worth another 150,000, bringing the total to 238,500. She places a sleek gold VIP card on a decorative tray and slides it across the marble table toward him. She informs him that his full payment is securely stored within the card. Jiang Yan reaches out to take the payment, complimenting Qin Yu on her straightforward and efficient business style. He seems satisfied with the outcome of the transaction. As he takes the card, Qin Yu explains that the gold status signifies he is now a premier customer of Jinyu Pavilion. The exchange is handled with mutual professional respect. Leaning back in her plush chair, Qin Yu offers a final incentive, a 10% premium on any future mana crystals he brings to her shop. She watches him closely, hoping to secure a long-term partnership with such a talented source. Jiang Yan holds up his new gold VIP card, thanking Boss Qin for the generous deal. He's just finished selling off a massive haul of monster parts for a small fortune. The young hunter walks out of the lavish Jinyu Pavilion, satisfied with the transaction. This shop owner seems fair enough to keep as a long-term business partner. Looking back, he knows the card isn't just a courtesy. Qin Yu clearly sees the potential in someone who can bring in such high-level materials. He steps out into the gritty streets of the underground market. The air is thick with neon lights and the smell of industrial waste. From the shadows, two thugs watch his every move, their cigarettes glowing in the dark. They've already marked him as their next target. Jiang Yan remains calm, knowing full well that displaying that much wealth would draw sharks. In this world, capable people are always in high demand or in deep trouble. He maintains a steady pace, heading deeper into the labyrinthine city. He notes that becoming a top scorer in the exams will be necessary to get his hands on national-level resources. The thugs toss their cigarettes and start following him. They're convinced they're about to make an easy fortune off a flashy kid. He turns into a quiet, dimly lit alleyway. With the money he just made, his first priority is picking up some decent armor. Having only 2 weapons on hand doesn't feel safe enough for the challenges ahead. He needs a full gear set to properly utilize his growth. The 2 shadows close in, their footsteps echoing behind him. Jiang Yan doesn't even look back, fully aware he's being targeted. A slight smirk plays on his lips as he leads them further from the main street. Everything is proceeding exactly as he expected. He recognizes the 2 men from the market. They carry a heavy stench of human blood, and the bags on their backs are likely filled with stolen goods from previous victims. He stops in a dead-end section of the alley, surrounded by trash and rusted shutters. Taking care of these 2 will be his good deed for the day. Liu Dalei and Su Yang step out, laughing at what they think is his poor choice of a shortcut. They're certain nobody will find his body until it starts to rot. They look down the alley, seeing their prey cornered and alone. The low light glints off their greedy eyes. Jiang Yan turns around with a bored expression. He tells them they were slow and that he's been waiting for them to catch up. Liu Dalei mocks him for being a mere high schooler. He boasts that they are both D-rank primary combat professionals, one a butcher, the other a poison master. Su Yang joins in, claiming plenty of people have died by their hands. He draws a dagger, telling Jiang Yan he's about to join the list. Jiang Yan lets out a mocking yawn, pretending to be terrified. An F-rank artisan class like him surely stands no chance against such mighty opponents. The sarcasm clearly gets to them, and Su Yang points a finger in rage. They can't stand that this kid isn't shaking in his boots. The young hunter admits he's just messing with them. His calm demeanor is the ultimate insult to their supposed authority. Liu Dalei loses it and lunges forward, activating his slash skill. Green energy trails behind his blade as he aims to carve through the boy. Right behind him, Su Yang activates Envenom, coating his weapon in a glowing purple poison. They aren't holding anything back. Jiang Yan simply reaches out his hand, his movements slow and deliberate. He doesn't need a sword to win this fight. He activates his unique Modify talent. This is the first time since his rebirth that he's used this power on other humans. The system interface flickers to life, altering the parameters of the incoming attack. Slash is instantly rewritten into self-slash. Liu Dalei's arms jerk uncontrollably, the green energy turning against him. He screams in confusion as his own blades start tearing into his chest. Su Yang freezes in horror, calling out to his boss. He doesn't understand why the attack suddenly backfired so violently. Jiang Yan isn't done targeting the second skill. Envenom is modified into ingest poison, forcing the user to consume their own toxin. Su Yang collapses, clutching his throat as he vomits blood and dark mana. He's being consumed from the inside by his own deadly ability. The victor walks past the dying thugs without a second glance. The alley falls silent, save for their desperate gasps for air. His eyes glow with a cold light as he looks toward the exit. It's finally his turn to take the offensive. He draws a massive blade that hums with power. He knows these 2 have a long history of murder and robbery, and he has no intention of showing mercy. A single, clean strike ends the struggle. Blood splatters against the graffiti-covered wall as retribution is served. He spots a crumpled piece of paper in the trash nearby. It's a wanted poster for B-rank fugitives, specifically Liu Dalei and Su Yang. He picks it up and examines the faces of the men who just tried to kill him. It's ironic that they were collecting their own wanted posters. He tosses the poster aside, letting it flutter to the ground. He won't bother trading them in for the official bounty. Staying low-key is worth more than the extra cash. In a secluded alleyway, Jiang Yan checks his latest find. He's managed to scavenge a dark trench coat from the gear bags of the guys he just took out. The system identifies it as a wolf skin trench coat. It's a bottom-tier E-rank item with pretty mediocre defense and a minor boost to agility. To anyone else this is just trash, but Jiang Yan knows better. He activates his Modify skill, ready to rewrite the item's very nature. With a single word, the fabric begins to glint and shift. The common wolf skin is rewritten into something far more legendary, a Kirin skin. The new stats are insane. It's now an A-rank piece of armor with over 8 times the original defense and a high resistance to poison. Jiang Yan slides his arm into the sleeve. The material feels heavy and powerful, pulsing with a faint blue energy. He stands tall in his new gear, looking like a completely different person. He didn't expect a simple name change to alter the appearance so drastically. The back of the coat features an intricate glowing green pattern of a poison keyrin. It's flashy, but the protection it offers is worth the attention. He smiles to himself, thinking about the surprise he has for his sister. Plus, the college entrance exams are right around the corner. Walking out of the shadows, he's ready to make his mark. This time, he's going to be the one who stuns the entire world. Back at their small apartment, Jiang Yao is busy studying by the light of a desk lamp. She's deep in a book about the world's most dangerous magical beasts. The door swings open, and Jiang Yan walks in, his arms loaded with heavy grocery bags. He calls out for his sister to come and help him with the haul. Jiang Yao rushes over, her eyes widening at the amount of stuff he's brought home. She immediately asks where on earth he got the money for all of this. She stops mid-sentence as she gets a closer look at him. His new clothes don't look like ordinary streetwear, they look like high-grade combat armor. Jiang Yan just grins, telling her he earned every bit of it using his own skills. He casually mentions that he's going to be raising her allowance from now on. She starts waving her hands in protest, telling him it's not necessary. She insists that 50 yuan is plenty for her to get by. He doesn't take no for an answer and presses a stack of bills into her hand. Starting this month, her allowance is jumping all the way to 500. Jiang Yao stares at the money in her palm, her face pale with shock. She looks up at him, her voice trembling as she asks what he's been doing to get this kind of cash. Jiang Yan gently pats her on the head, telling her to stop overthinking things. He reminds her that tomorrow is the big pep rally for the college entrance exams. He gives her a confident thumbs up and tells her not to worry. With his current strength, the exams will be a breeze, and he'll take her out for a celebratory meal afterward. Still skeptical, she asks him point-blank what level he has actually reached. He leans back, looking entirely too relaxed as he tells her he's just hit level 20. The news hits her like a physical blow, leaving her jaw hanging open in disbelief. Level 20 is a milestone that most students can't even dream of reaching so quickly. Jiang Yan looks out the window, reflecting on the world's rigid standards. The entrance exams are usually held just 1 month after a student first awakens their profession. In that short window, most students can only crawl up to level 10 or 15. Only the most exceptional individuals ever manage to break into the late teens. As for reaching level 20, that's usually reserved for the kids from wealthy, powerful families who can afford to funnel endless resources into them. He knows his situation is unique. He only managed this massive jump because he took down a clone of a demon king, something no normal student could ever do. Standing on the balcony, he looks out at the city skyline. He knows that without proper support, even someone like him would have struggled to keep up. In the distance, a massive glowing spire pierces the night sky. He's determined to become the top scorer in Nanrong City to change his fate forever. The morning of the exams arrives, and Jiang Yan stands overlooking the city, his coat billowing in the wind. He takes a deep breath, ready to face whatever the school throws at him. At the Nanrong No. 1 High School Gymnasium, the atmosphere is electric. Students from all over the city have gathered for the start of the annual college entrance exams. The gym floor is packed with students standing in neat military-style rows. Up on the stage, Principal Ouyang Lai begins his speech, his voice booming through the speakers. Ouyang Lai shouts into the microphone, his fist raised high in the air. He tells the students that the chance to rewrite their destinies is right in front of them. Jiang Yan stands in the crowd, his hands in his pockets, listening to the principal's words with a bored expression. To him, this whole speech sounds like a collection of empty cliches. A graphic appears on the screen, detailing the 4 potential paths for their lives. The top students will enter elite universities and become pioneers, venturing into the demon rifts. The second path is the military, where students serve as garrison forces in occupied territories. It's a life of danger, but it comes with state support and a chance for high rank. Path 3 is for those with average performance who secure a spot in an ordinary university. They usually end up as guardian knights, working with limited local funding. And then there's the final path for those who lack the strength and fail the exams entirely. They return to ordinary urban life, never achieving another breakthrough. Jiang Yan knows the harsh reality of the system. For the vast majority of the students standing in this room, that final path is their ultimate destination. He looks down at the sea of students, noting that about 80% of them are destined for a life of obscurity. This is the cruel, rigid hierarchy of the post-invasion world. Jiang Yan clenches his fist, his eyes narrowing as he focuses on his goal. He knows that in this world, without absolute strength, you can be eliminated in the blink of an eye. Yang Lai wraps up his speech and announces the start of the screening process. He adds that anyone above level 15 is exempt from the school's preliminary qualifiers. A massive wide shot shows the gymnasium floor as the screening officially begins. The students stand ready, and the pressure in the room is high as the selection process kicks off. The gymnasium erupts as students react to the level 15 cutoff. Some are cheering because they barely made it, while others are holding their heads in despair. Jiang Yan remains completely calm in the middle of the chaos. He didn't experience this in his past life, but he knows exactly how these hierarchy-driven schools operate. He assumes he's in the clear since he's already hit level 20. To him, these so-called preliminaries are just a waste of time for those who haven't leveled up. The homeroom teacher checks his tablet and addresses the class. He confirms there are exactly 5 students in their group who have surpassed level 15. The teacher pauses, his expression shifting as he looks over the group. He adds a however that immediately catches everyone's attention. He looks directly at Jiang Yan and delivers the bad news. Even though he's well over level 15, he's not on the exemption list. The teacher explains that because Jiang Yan's profession isn't a primary combat class, school policy requires him to fight. Being an F rank means he has to prove his worth in the arena. Whispers break out among the other students, their sympathy quickly turning to mockery. They think it's pathetic that even a level 20 can't escape the preliminaries if they have a trash class. One student smirks, enjoying the sight of the former top student being brought down a peg. He thinks this is exactly the kind of treatment F-rank trash deserves. The teacher puts a comforting hand on Jiang Yan's shoulder, sounding genuinely apologetic. He knows Jiang Yan is outstanding, but he claims his hands are tied by the school's decision. Jiang Yan doesn't argue or show any frustration. He just nods and tells the teacher he understands, ready to just get the preliminaries over with. His relaxed attitude only irritates the jealous students even more. They decide right then and there to team up and knock him out of the tournament early. An official blows a sharp whistle, signaling the start of the proceedings. The gymnasium is transformed into a massive combat zone for the first round of testing. The preliminaries are a brutal internal screening process. 10 students under level 15 are thrown into a free-for-all brawl where only the last one standing moves on. In Group 8, a girl named Zhang Zhu finishes her match with a decisive strike. With a 90% elimination rate, the stakes for these kids couldn't be higher. Up in the VIP booth, the school leadership watches the matches play out. Vice Principal Zhu Kang sighs at the low quality of the combatants, noting that most are just D or E-rank artisans. Principal Yang Lai stays silent, his arms crossed as he stares down at the arena. He asks Zhu Kang if he remembers Jiang Yan, the boy who dominated both academics and combat for 3 years. Zhu Kang nods, admitting he had high hopes for the kid too. But he believes the F-rank awakening basically ended any chance of Jiang Yan having a real future. Zhu Kang looks disappointed, thinking it's a waste of a good talent. To him, an F-rank is just a death sentence for a combatant's career. Yang Lai shoots him a sharp look, asking if he really understands what F-rank means. He hints that there's more to the classification than just trash. The principal explains that F-rank was originally the E-rank for artisan classes. The term, trash class, became the unofficial name for these weak professions. He points out that the authorities only changed the name to F-rank because trash sounded too harsh for official records. In reality, they are professions like farming or sewing that have zero combat potential. Zhu Kang argues that the disparity is simply insurmountable. He believes no amount of hard work can overcome the gap between a laborer and a true combat class. Ouyang Lai counters by bringing up Lord Hu Yuanwu, a legendary F-rank who reached level 70. He warns Zhu Kang never to underestimate someone as hardworking as Jiang Yan. A whistle blows, and the official calls Group 17 to the arena. It's time for Jiang Yan's match to begin. The 10 students step onto the platform, weapons at the ready. Jiang Yan walks in casually, looking like he's just going for a stroll. He's thinking about his dinner plans with his sister. He doesn't want to waste a single second in this arena if he can help it. His opponents are already sizing him up, whispering about his rank. They know he's level 20, which makes him the biggest threat on the field despite his class. One of them suggests that they all team up to take Jiang Yan down first. They figure if they can eliminate the level 20 together, they can fight it out among themselves afterward. Jiang Yan overhears their plan and actually smiles. He tells them it's perfect and invites all 9 of them to come at him at once. Incensed by his arrogance, the group charges forward. They're a mix of warriors, mages, and archers, all aiming their attacks at a single target. They shout that they're all combat classes and that an F-rank can't bridge the gap with just levels. They intend to teach him a lesson about the natural order of things. Up in the stands, the excitement builds as the free-for-all kicks off. Ouyang Lai leans forward, telling Zhu Kang to keep his eyes on the boy. Jiang Yan looks at their weapons and scoffs at how shoddy they are. He reveals that the materials he gathered in Poison Dragon Valley allowed him to buy something much better. He reaches into the air, and a glowing blue sword begins to materialize in his hand. The sheer quality of the blade is obvious even from a distance. Ouyang Lai stands up, his eyes wide with shock. He can't believe a student has a spatial ring, a luxury item that even most pro hunters can't afford. Zhu Kang is equally stunned, recognizing the sword as an A-rank weapon. Only a high-level master artisan could forge something that powerful. Before anyone can even blink, Jiang Yan becomes a blur of motion. He weaves through the attackers with impossible speed, his sword leaving trails of blue light in its wake. The spectators are frozen in shock at the display. They can't comprehend how someone with an artisan class can possess such high agility and combat instinct. Jiang Yan comes to a stop on the other side of the group, casually resting his sword on his shoulder. He tells them simply that they've already lost. One of the students shouts back, claiming he's just fast and hasn't even landed a scratch on them. They think he's just bluffing to scare them off. Jiang Yan gives them a cold, knowing smirk as he looks back over his shoulder. He asks them if they're really so sure about that. The sound of tearing fabric echoes through the arena as the collars and ties of Jiang Yan's opponents suddenly snap open. They don't even realize they've been struck until they feel the rush of air against their skin. 9 students stand frozen in total shock, their uniforms shredded in identical patterns. The sheer precision of the attack leaves them breathless, realizing they were completely defenseless against his speed. One boy trembles as he clutches his chest, the reality of the situation sinking in. He knows that if Jiang Yan had been aiming just an inch deeper, none of them would have survived the first second of the match. Jiang Yan stands in silhouette, the light from his blade reflecting off the arena floor. He hasn't broken a sweat, looking more like a seasoned master than a high school student. 2 more students stare in horror, their weapons hanging uselessly at their sides. They finally admit that there isn't just a level gap between them, they are in a completely different league. The entire group raises their hands in unison, the will to fight completely drained out of them. Shouts of "I yield" and "I concede" fill the gymnasium as they forfeit the match. A high-angle shot shows the massive scale of the arena as the official announcement rings out. Jiang Yan of Class 1 is declared the undisputed winner of Group 17. Walking away with his hands in his pockets, Jiang Yan is already thinking about the future. He knows the real college entrance exams start in 3 days, and he's eager to get home and celebrate this small victory with his sister. A small, satisfied smirk plays on his lips as he leaves the arena floor. Everything is proceeding exactly as he planned. He realizes that showing off his speed and weapon now was a calculated move. It establishes a believable cover story for the Cyan Steel Sword, ensuring no one questions how he obtained such a powerful artifact. In the VIP stands, the school leadership is deep in discussion. Vice Principal Zhu Kang is visibly rattled, wondering how a mere repairman could possess such overwhelming combat power. Ouyang Lai notes that Jiang Yan's performance far exceeds what even Lord Hu Yuanwu was capable of in his youth. He suspects the boy is hiding a strength that goes far beyond what he just demonstrated. The principal looks on with a newfound intensity, noting that their school hasn't produced a citywide top scorer in a very long time. He sees a glimmer of hope in the boy walking away. Jiang Yan stands tall against the bright light of the gymnasium windows, a lone figure compared to the masses. Ouyang Lai wonders if this F-rank kid might actually be the one to claim the ultimate title. In another part of the gym, a student named Zhang Daqiao finishes his opponent with a powerful punch. The preliminary rounds are coming to a fast and violent end. As the final whistle blows, the arena is littered with defeated students. The announcement confirms that out of the hundreds who participated, only 68 have advanced to the next stage. The winners are moved to a luxurious, modern waiting area filled with comfortable sofas and greenery. It's a stark contrast to the rough concrete of the combat arena they just left. Jiang Yan sits by himself at a counter, casually sipping from a paper cup. He's running the numbers in his head, calculating the sheer scale of the competition he's about to face. He looks out at the other winners, knowing there are still over 400 other students who were exempt from the prelims. With 19 high schools in the city, the total number of examinees is staggering. A map of Nanrong City shows glowing pillars of light representing the various high schools scattered across the urban sprawl. Each one is a hub for the next generation of hunters and artisans. The competition for the top scorer spot involves nearly 10,000 people. Jiang Yan knows that even with his advantages, standing out in such a massive crowd won't be easy. He visualizes a metaphorical rope bridge over a pit of fire, with students desperately pushing each other off to reach the other side. It's a ruthless race where only the elite will survive. Someone pulls up a chair and sits right next to him, breaking his concentration. Jiang Yan turns to see the principal himself joining him at the counter. Jiang Yan is genuinely surprised, wondering why the top official in the school would bother coming down to the student waiting area. He stares at Ouyang Lai, waiting for him to speak. Ouyang Lai mentions how he's personally handed Jiang Yan awards for 3 years straight. He acknowledges that the boy has always been the pride of the school in both academics and physical tests. Jiang Yan plays along, noting that Ouyang Lai isn't just the principal but one of the famous 12 guardian deities of the city. He jokes that any student would be starstruck in his presence. The principal laughs heartily, patting Jiang Yan on the shoulder with a heavy hand. He enjoys the flattery but quickly turns the conversation to something more serious. His expression shifts as he looks at the boy, telling him he'd be much happier if the top scorer title finally came home to first high. He's putting a lot of pressure on Jiang Yan's shoulders. Jiang Yan looks back at him with a skeptical expression. He knows the statistics and the political climate of the school better than most. He points out that the school has several S-rank and A-rank combatants this year. He asks the principal why he's choosing to place his bets on an F-rank student instead of the elites. Ouyang Lai scoffs at the idea of rank being everything. He reveals that even though he's one of the guardian deities, he himself is only a C-rank profession. He pumps his fist, glowing with a golden aura as he delivers a passionate speech. He believes the person makes the power, and that true strength comes from the guts to stand against anyone. Jiang Yan is taken aback, realizing this principle is cut from a different cloth than most elites. He remembers that in his past life, Ouyang Lai never tried to exploit his unique abilities. He thanks the principal for the advice, his own expression turning determined. He gives his word that he will indeed bring the top scorer title back to their school. Ouyang Lai is delighted by the response and holds out a fist for a bump. He calls it a promise between men, his face lit up with a broad, toothy grin. The two of them share a solid fist bump across the counter, sealing the deal. The bond between them is suddenly much stronger than a simple student-teacher relationship. In the background, other students watch the interaction with bewildered expressions. They think the principal is acting far too edgy for his age and wonder if he's lost his mind. As night falls, Jiang Yan leaves the school grounds behind. He's determined to make good on the promise he made to his sister for a special meal. The city is ablaze with neon lights as Jiang Yan and his sister walk through a high-end commercial district. Towering skyscrapers and modern architecture surround them on all sides. Jiang Yao looks around nervously, her shoulders hunched. She asks if they are really eating here, worried about the cost and suggesting they should just save the money. Jiang Yan leads her toward a bright storefront, ignoring her protests. He simply tells her that this is the place he's been planning to take her all along. They stand before the Elrose Premium Wagyu Grilled Meat restaurant, an establishment that looks incredibly expensive. The warm lights from the windows promise a meal unlike anything they've ever had before. Jiang Yao is wide-eyed, clutching her chest as she looks at the restaurant. She whispers to her brother that she saw this place online, and it's known for being insanely expensive. Jiang Yan holds up his phone, showing a reservation confirmation on the screen. He gives her a confident smile, telling her that he did his research and booked a table a long time ago. The two siblings walk through the grand entrance of the Elrose Premium Wagyu Grilled Meat restaurant. The atmosphere is sophisticated, with warm lighting and a refined decor that makes Jiang Yao feel even more out of place. Jiang Yao looks down at the ground, her hand still resting on her chest. She thinks about how much effort Jiang Yan put into this and decides she shouldn't ruin the mood, even though the prices are a shock. A close-up of Jiang Yao reveals her deep concern for their finances. She resolves to budget strictly over the next few months to make ends meet, wanting to let her brother enjoy himself tonight before his big exam. The interior of the restaurant is a picture of luxury, featuring a grand piano and elegant dining arrangements. A waitress approaches their table with a polite greeting, asking if they would like the set menu. Jiang Yan sits at a circular table, looking completely at ease in the high-class setting. He calmly tells the waitress to bring them set menu C, nodding that it features all of the restaurant's signature dishes. The waitress records the order on her device, maintaining a professional smile. Internally, she is stunned that these two students who look completely ordinary are actually such big spenders. Jiang Yao leans in toward her brother, her voice trembling as she mentions the price of set menu C, 980 yuan. It's the most expensive option on the menu, and she can't believe he chose it. Jiang Yan takes a casual sip of water, his expression neutral. He tells her that if she doesn't like what's on the set menu, she can always order whatever else she wants from the rest of the list. Jiang Yao's eyes turn into shocked circles as she calculates the cost of the meal. She realizes that nearly 3,000 yuan could cover their groceries for 10 months and begins to worry that her brother is involved in something illegal. The quiet elegance of the restaurant is suddenly shattered by a loud, aggressive shout. A man's mouth is shown in a tight close-up as he bellows about being refused a table for not having a reservation. A group of 3 students from 7th High cause a scene at the front of the dining room. The leader, Wang Zhou, is a C-rank combat awakened who demands a table immediately, citing his importance as a senior. The waitress tries to maintain her composure, explaining that they are strictly reservation only. Wang Zhou ignores her plea, threatening to trash the entire restaurant if he and his friends aren't seated right now. Jiang Yao looks over her shoulder at the disturbance, her expression filled with worry. She whispers to Jiang Yan that the waitress who just took their order is being harassed by a group of thugs. Jiang Yan's face is partially obscured by shadows as a cold, dismissive smirk forms on his lips. He loudly wonders if all the seniors at 7th High are as pathetic and classless as the ones currently making a scene. The group from 7th High hears the insult and turns toward Jiang Yan's table. One of the friends points an accusing finger, challenging him to repeat what he said if he has the balls. Wang Zhou looms over Jiang Yan, a look of malicious recognition in his eyes. He has found the source of the comment and is eager to vent his frustration on someone he thinks is beneath him. Jiang Yan remains seated, staring calmly at the water glass in his hand. He doesn't even look up as the 3 aggressive students surround his table. Wang Zhou leans down, mocking Jiang Yan for being 1st High's infamous F-rank trash. He asks the boy if he's itching to find out exactly how hard a C-rank combat class can punch. In a split second, Jiang Yan claims his hand slipped as he tosses the contents of his water cup into Wang Zhou's face. The sudden splash leaves the entire room in a state of shocked silence. Water drips from Wang Zhou's face and clothes as he trembles with absolute rage. The humiliation in front of the entire restaurant has pushed him past the point of reason. Wang Zhou roars in anger, his right arm glowing with a violent blue energy as he lunges toward Jiang Yan. He vows to bash the boy's face in for the insult, his strength surging as he prepares a strike. A blue status window appears, identifying Wang Zhou's C-rank profession as long-armed demon ape. He has activated the skill Partial Beastification V1, which enhances his arm for massive physical power. Jiang Yao lets out a scream, her eyes wide with terror as she sees the attack coming straight for her brother. A sudden sharp crack rings out as the punch is intercepted midair. A hand catches the beastified arm, clamping down with enough force to stop it dead in its tracks. Liu Tao steps in, glaring at Wang Zhou and demanding to know what the hell he thinks he's doing. The bully's aggressive facade crumbles instantly as he realizes he's just been checked by Boss Tao. The other thugs are paralyzed, knowing that Liu Tao is a B-rank elite they shouldn't even be looking at wrong. Wang Zhou tries to explain himself, claiming he was just teaching an F-rank student a little lesson. Liu Tao doesn't let him finish. He shoves the guy back, snarling that laying a finger on Jiang Yan is like having a death wish. The lackeys are in a full-blown panic, realizing they've accidentally picked a fight with someone incredibly well-connected. A pair of boots clicks against the floor as another figure approaches, their presence commanding total silence. Lu Yuan steps into the light, his hands in his pockets and a look of detached boredom on his face. The thugs look like their hearts just stopped, recognizing the eldest young master of the Lu family. They can't wrap their heads around why a top-tier S-rank prodigy would be showing up here. Jiang Yan doesn't seem bothered at all, casually greeting the legendary elite as Little Yuan. The cool master of the Lu family instantly turns red, snapping at Jiang Yan to quit using that embarrassing nickname. The thugs' brains are melting. An F-rank student just spoke to an S-rank elite like they were childhood friends. Jiang Yan's expression goes cold as he notes the complete lack of manners from the 7th high students. Wang Zhou is shaking and sweating bullets as he wonders how an F-rank loser could possibly have this kind of influence. Jiang Yan stands in the shadows, his eyes glowing with a menacing intensity that leaves everyone in the room frozen in fear.